Honest Audiophile. How's everybody doing this evening? Hopefully, you had a good week at work. And if not, hopefully, this live stream will help you to just chill and relax and enjoy and get a good start to your weekend. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat. I'll try to answer them as best as I can according to my limited brain capabilities, especially on Friday night. But anyways, we will just sit back, chill, relax, have some fun, and enjoy the time together. I had a good week, and it was not a work week for me. I was actually on vacation all week, so that was nice. Always pleasurable to get some time off. It was spring break for my wife, school, and so took some time just to spend with family and with friends, and of course with my wife. So that was an enjoyable time. And come back Monday, go to work. So how was everybody else's week? A couple things I would like to cover tonight. I was given some homework in the last live stream that we did. We talked about some music recommendations, and so I'm curious what all you guys have more for me to listen to. So I want to discuss music and what you guys like to listen to and why. So I'm curious to see in regards to that, if you've come up with anything new over the last couple of weeks. I'm doing great. They're Master Singleton. So how are you doing? And then a couple other things. I have a couple different headphones in for review and some other gear. So that's always fun to get some different gear in for review. Nice to be on vacation. Hope you enjoyed it. I did. Well, hopefully you will get a vacation coming up. That'll always be fun. So one of the headphones that came in this week, and that is this. This is the Meze Lyric, or Meza, as some people pronounce it. And the Lyric, very, very nice, comfortable headphone. It's actually rather light for a closeback. I was really surprised at that. And it's very, very comfy. In fact, this may be my favorite comfortable headphone as far as over ear. This thing is crazy, crazy comfy. Meze did a really good job with the headband on it. It's got this little bit of extra padding, and then the cups are like perfectly shaped. They did a nice job on design. They went away with the mini XLRs and they just went with 3.5s, which was an interesting touch. I like the copper bit on it, or bronze, whatever color you want to call it, copper. And it's a very pleasing, isolates extremely well. So when you put it on your head, the outside world really disappears. They are very, very good at isolation of outside noises. Cables are Meze. They're not bad. It's a rubbery type of material. Very long. They have a really long one. They do have a shorter cable, but I really like the Lyric. Full review coming in a little while. Also received, I can't lift it up here, but here to my left is an IFI stack that consists of the IFI Zendak Signature V2, and it also has the IFI ZenCan Signature MZ99, which is the Meze version. And then it has also the Zen 1 Signature DAC, which is a Bluetooth USB streamer. And all three of those have really impressed me. You can't see it on camera, but here on my right speaker is a FIO BTA 30 Pro, and that is also very similar to the IFI Zen 1 Signature, which is a Bluetooth streamer, but it does Bluetooth in and out, which is kind of unique. So you can do like USB coaxial or fiber optic into it, and then you can use it as a DAC and Bluetooth it out to like powered speakers or to headphones or any, anything of that sort. You can also run it with RCAs out to something. You can do Bluetooth into it and then do your RCAs out. So it's kind of a unique device. Let's see, what else do I got? I've got the C Audio Ume Midnight, the FIO FHE Eclipse, the Zen's Mangard T2, 7 Hertz Eternal, several other devices, all in for review. So stay tuned for that. We got a lot of exciting stuff coming to the table here as far as reviews go. All right, we got any questions here? Pretty quiet, man. Email all must be tired because it's Friday night. I get it. I do. I understand. I'm going to be testing a new microphone if I can get it to work properly. I was going to use it tonight, but unfortunately that did not come to fruition. So I have to work out some kinks with it. Hopefully I can get a new microphone in. And then I'm assuming everybody can hear me here. You would recommend the Aussie brand INXS Inks, INXS, hopefully I'm saying that right, as their songs are amazing and still underrated. Can't say I've ever heard of that band, so I will definitely look them up. And just put it through the comments in the chat, and I'll go back through later and make notes of all the songs or groups or bands that are listed that you guys recommend. And I'm putting together a playlist that is strictly from live streams. And I want to see what all you guys listen to, and we'll be able to maybe compile something, and I'll be able to put it out through Songwhip. Speaking of Songwhip, so on a weekly basis now, I'm going to start putting out a recommended a recommended album, something that just tickled my fancy. And it may be something from the past, maybe something new, maybe something really weird, maybe something of interest, but it's going to be something I think that you all would enjoy along with me. And it might be a different genre than you're used to, might be something completely normal that you enjoy. And it's just going to be to give you guys a little insight onto the type of music I listen to. It's maybe a really well recorded album, might not be so well recorded, that type of thing. I'm not going to be picky on that. It's just going to be an album that I enjoy, and I think everybody else is going to enjoy. Let's see, I think the first week we did Diana Krall, and then this past week we did Kiefer Sutherland. So we'll see what else comes in, and what would pop in there as far as music recommendations for you all, because music is important. It's kind of part of our community as far as music. If you don't have music, there's nothing really for us to do unless we sit around listening to sine waves and white noise and pink noise. Well, thanks. All right, let's see. You ordered the Shit Asgard 3 to accompany your Denafrips Ares 2. Do you think I'll be happy with the setup for your PC? Honestly, I haven't heard an Asgard 3 or a Denafrips, so I'm curious what you think of it. On paper, it would seem to be a very nice setup, but I've never actually heard it. What new mic did you get? I got this one. It's a Rode Podcaster. It's a USB microphone. When I went to use it this evening, and I always do a mic check before my live stream because I don't want to, not be heard. It would only run for about 5 seconds, and then it turned off when it was going through my phone, my camera. Or through my phone, actually, because my phone is my camera. So I'm not sure if the USB on the phone doesn't have enough power to run it, or if there's something in settings that I have to change. But I didn't have time to fiddle around with it at that time. So I just got my older microphone, the one I've been using for a long time, the NTB, back out and just use that. It did work off of my laptop, so I didn't really want to use the Chromebook's camera for the live stream. It's bad. So I just went back with my original microphone. And by the way, I am drinking tea this evening. It is sweet tea. I'm not drinking any coffee. I had some coffee earlier today. I'm not feeling the greatest. I think the changes in weather this week, going from 70 degrees to 40 degrees to everything in between, and it's just catching up with me. So right now I'm drinking some tea. Anyways, did try some different tea. I tried coffee. Tried a coffee from a company that roasts, and they're from Goshen, Indiana. I'm sorry, the name slipped me, but Goshen's about an hour from me, and so if I can remember the name or I can find the packaging, I will post it, or just mention it sometime on Discord. And then also World Market. I don't know if you guys have any World Markets in your area, but I tried a couple of their roasts. Not bad. Don't remember the ones that I got, and one of them was like, I don't know, I better not even try to pronounce it. It had a bunch of letters. That's all I know. All right, back to comments. Let's see here. What brand? That is a Rode microphone. RODE. Yes, Rode is a very good. I really, really do enjoy Rode microphones. To me, they have the most natural presentation of a voice, in my opinion. That's the reason why I use Rodes. You have a nice cup of decaf. Awesome. That's a good way to end the evening. That way you're not staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning. Let's see. What type of tea? Actually, it's Milo sweet tea. MILOS. Milo's tea is just a local brand here. Let's see. Love the Tantrum Ola review. Well, thank you. Wish I could have said I loved that headphone. I've been comparing the Aria Stealth and the Ananda all week. Long story short, keeping the Ananda and returning the Aria. I can understand that. I think that's going to go based off of preference. I think that if the Ananda is kind of more my leaning as well. I do like the Aria Stealth. I still have it behind me and I still use it, but it does things a little differently. The Ananda to me is a little bit more in line with what I prefer as a listener. Yes, sweet tea. Gotta have some sugar. With a little bit of lemonade in it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Have you done a review on the Focal Clear? I did do a review of the original Focal Clear, the Focal Clear Pro, which is the same. It just has the red pads on it. Do you review desktop speakers also? I haven't. Well, I shouldn't say I haven't. I did review the Kanto Yumis. I have not reviewed these yet. Oh, there we go. Get my fingers right. Those are the Monoprice MM5Rs. I have not reviewed those yet. Review will be coming on those. Who knows when, though. I'm not pushing that out. And I have reviewed two other passive speaker reviews. I have the Sony SSCS5s and also the Wharfdale D310s. So very limited in speakers, but I have dabbled in some. Bill, you're welcome. Hey Andrew, great to see you also. In the review section, I have a playlist for reviews, and then you can just do a search right on my YouTube channel, and it should pull right up for the Focal Clear. Which do you prefer, the S12 or the Odom or the Olina? Okay, I haven't heard the Olina. Hope to. And I definitely prefer the S12 over the Odom. The S12 is just way more technical. and just a better performer overall. I don't mind the Odom if you're going to do like laid back type of listening. The Odom's not bad, but personally, for my preference, I would take the S12. Been using the Verite closed and you like them, but I'm wondering if you have any opinion about how to EQ some extra bass. I've tried O12 tube amps. Well, you could always use something like a tone control or regular EQ to bring it in a little bit. I personally don't use EQ, but very rarely. I do use it every now and then to determine problems, issues that I hear on gear to kind of see where the problem is. But as far as actually using it in daily listening, I don't use EQ. But something along the lines of a tone control may help with the Verite close if you don't think it has enough bass. As far as using tube amps, you could change some tubes. Sometimes that will kind of change things a little bit. I don't have a whole lot of experience with the Verite closed. I've only heard it when it was first being produced. I heard a non-production version of it. So I really, really want to review a Verite closed. Just haven't been able to get one yet. Let's see. Have you heard the newer LCD XC after 21? And what were your thoughts? I haven't heard the new edition XC. I've only heard the older XC, and that was at Oxpona. That was a long time ago. I prefer the Olina slightly better than the S12 from my perspective. That's interesting. Okay. I haven't heard the Olina. Really, really want to. I've heard very positive things about it, so I'm very curious about it. If it's better than the S12, slightly, that's saying something. So Zach and Bevan from ZMF, if you're listening, I would really, really, really like to review a Verite closed. All right, let's see here. Have the Olina now for about 3 weeks. Really enjoy it, but the stock tips didn't work for me using Dakoni foams. It's interesting. I did have change tips on the S12. So it seems like some of the IEMs that I've come across as of late, especially, they're starting to get a really flat backside on the shell, or just a very subtle with a short nozzles, and those really cause problems for me. S12 takes EQ really good. Well, that's good to know if you are into reviewing, into EQing. Yeah, Verite Close is really nice. I did enjoy what I heard, the pre-production model, but that was quite a while ago. That was 2 years ago. Yeah, well, maybe longer than that because it was before COVID. Let's see. Are you liking the IFI stack? I actually am. I really like the Zendeck Signature V2. It has that newer IFI house sound to it. And so it's got a little bit more airy and better separation, not quite as lush and thick like previous Zendeck. And it does a really good job with like imaging and depth and layering. It does a really good job with that. Tone and timbre is exceptional on it. As far as the Zen Can and the MZ99, that's a very nice. It's very interesting the way that they do the changing. Haven't quite figured out that process yet, with the gains and changing of the frequencies. Kind of interesting. Some I like, some I don't. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out and what headphones it works with and which ones it doesn't. But it works very well with both IEMs and headphones. So, and it's got plenty of power. It does really nice with IE match. And then the Zen 1 is like a baby V2. Has very similar sound. It is a little bit less of the more airy and detailed than the V2, but it still has that. You can tell it's in the lineage, and it does a really nice job. I really like all of them, actually, a whole lot. A little pricey. It's not straight up budget, though. I would say it's a little. I mean, it comes in at what, $600 if you get the V2 and the Zen Can. $300 each if you buy each one separately. So a little salty on the price, but in my opinion, they're kind of future proofing. So like you won't have to replace them anytime soon because of how good they are sonically. I guess would be a way I would look at it. Been changing the bass quantity of my ether too. I really like the warm, lush vibes. Any headphone offer other than Empyrean and Ether that skew that direction that I like. You can get a Ross and Red Zero. They have a little bit warmer, more natural tone to them. Let's see. If you want to go a little cheaper, you could always go Sennheiser 660S. Ananda, if you want to EQ it a little bit. Of course, you always could go AKG. Go real cheap. You could go 612 and EQ it again if you wanted. Plus, the 612 does really good on tubes. Let's see what else you got here. Do you think the S12 is enjoyable for movies regarding vocals, spatialization, and bass? Yeah, I think the S12 is really good for that. I really did enjoy the S12 and everything. There was not anything I don't enjoy using the S12 with. Let's see. Could I ask you what you recommend for a headphone amp on the Focal Clear? I really liked it on my Tor Audio Roger. I'd like to clear mostly on tube amps or a slightly warm solid state. If you go straight up, just pure analytical, uber clean solid state with the clear, and you have a really clean DAC, your ears will let you know that they don't appreciate that. You're going to want a little bit of warmth, just a little bit, not super thick, but you're going to want a little bit. So I recommend something with a tube. A nice transformer coupled tube amp could help that warmth. OTL sometimes are thinner. That's a good point, Jeremy. What's your favorite coffee these days? My favorite one that I've been drinking is Irving Farms. I don't remember which roast it is, but it's made by Irving Farms. Yeah, that's a good point. Using tube amps, you do have to change various ones from O2L to a transformer couple. That's a good point. Very good point. You're very welcome. Hey, thank you, Larry. Appreciate that. I appreciate the $5. You're a very kind man. I do greatly appreciate that. The Alina responds better to EQ for treble, sub bass, and highs. So it doesn't really respond well for mids. Interesting. That's interesting. I do find that there's been some, as I was talking about earlier, IEMs with fit has been a real bugaboo for me lately. I've really had to change tips a lot lately. Before, I wasn't having to do that as much. I could kind of use stock tips a little bit more, but for some reason, as of late, tips have been a problem. And a friend of mine made a comment, and so I was kind of like, okay, whatever. And as you notice, I need a haircut, and he said maybe it's because of the way that the ear hooks go around because your hair is thicker. And I was like, or it could be because of weight loss. Your ears get a little different change, and so I'm not sure if that plays into anything, but it's something to consider. I was wondering if anybody in chat had thoughts on that. I am supposed to get a haircut sometime this weekend. If my wife will do the honors, but I'll let you know about the haircut thing. But as far as actually like ear tips, does that get affected by like if you gain or lose weight or things like that? I'm just curious. Quiet in the chat, you must be thinking. And see, when you do a chat, when you do a live stream later in the evening, your brain thinks different, so you get weird ideas to talk about. All right, so let's see. I often read the ideal would be the S12 and Olina, as they seem complementary somehow and different enough. Makes sense. I mean, they are, from what I understand, the Olina is kind of like capable in technicalities, but different sonically than the S12. So it kind of makes sense. All right, let's see if nobody has any ideas as to what I was talking about with the ear tips, or you it does make it hard, tough choices. There's so many options out there right now, and it's just because you look at a certain one, right, and people will give you your opinion, and then you listen to your trusted sources, and they'll say another opinion, but your gut says do this, and so you're like torn, and I can imagine it gets hard to make decisions like that. Thank you, Andrew, for a favorite cup of coffee. I do greatly appreciate that. I most definitely will put the $5 towards a favorite cup of coffee. Ear clips were a terrible fit for me. That's a bummer. Weight doesn't affect ear tip fit. Okay, well, that confirms it. I Master Singleton has confirmed it in my brain that it doesn't matter about weight, whether or not ears tips make a difference. I do think that it's more about like design of the shells, and it's just dependent on how each one of us our ears are built. I think that makes most of the difference, and some just seem to fit better with longer nozzles than short nozzles. And my ears have always been better for a little bit longer nozzle and slightly angled. Blessing to really fits me real well. Doesn't fit everybody else. A lot of the ADV stuff fits me very well, and that has longer nozzles. Etymotic, I have no problems with. So I think that the longer nozzle fit is just for me. The short ones, they just don't fit for me. I've always had problems that way. All right, slightly distracting. My dog Mackenzie is feeling demanding right now. Speaking of, my cat Milo was that way for the last 2 days. It was like as we trying to watch TV, trying to just sit, and do something on your phone and use your thumbs, and he's like right here in your face, and just like, pat me, rub up again. It's like, back off, dude. And he's been wanting to be there, right in my grill for like the last 2 days. If I walk down the hallway, he's like running towards me and following me like a little puppy dog. I love my cat, but it's like, give me a little space, man. All right, let's see. You like spin fits? I do use spin fits. I use a couple of them. I don't have a whole lot of them. I think I have like CP 145, CP 100s, and I have some really weird like triple flange ones, which only work with like one headphone. It was really odd. Let's see here. Humidity and temperature does affect ear fit and comfort. Maybe that might be it, because the weather has been so weird here in the Midwest lately. One day it'll be like 75, next day it'll be 30. It's like this weekend, it's supposed to get down in like the 20s and 30s and possibly snow. And then like next Wednesday it's supposed to be like 75. So maybe that's what's driving my ears nuts, is the humidity and things like that. That's good to know. I learn something every single time I do a live stream. It's crazy. All right, longer nozzles is a better fit for you too. That's good to know. Makes the best thing watching on reviews now. Oh, makes it the first thing watching on reviews now. Yeah, that I think can be somewhat of a draw. Like if you look at a device, and if it has certain features that like you look at the shell design or things like that, I think that becomes kind of whether or not you're going to be interested in watching that review or pursuing it. And then unless somebody says, even though this has this or does this, and other people kind of recommend, maybe it'll change your mind. But the first initial thing is what you look at, that you're curious about, whether designs or stuff. All right, let's see here. Dauntless is short nozzle or long. It's kind of like medium, but it has a really good angle. So it doesn't bother me whatsoever. It fits me like a glove. I would say it's more like medium long than medium short. Let's see. Everyone's ear and ear canals morphology, hopefully I'm saying that right, is unique. Just roll with it. Absolutely. And that's the thing that is kind of interesting about it, is like some people will really talk about the fit, and they don't take into consideration that everybody else's is built different, which is why when I do make a hubbub about the fit of it, I always mention, but you may have a different experience. But I want to let you all know that, hey, you know what, this thing did not fit me properly, kind of like the Ola. All right, let's see. Asla Sedna Classic, the longer one, it helps a bit on shorter nozzles, I found. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I have the elastics from Asla, Sedna, and some other ones, but I don't have the longer ones. I have these like really short ones. I think they're for true wireless. And then I have the elastics, which have that weird rubbery, tacky feel. Long nozzle for the win, especially easily. These short nozzle things, got to go. Yeah, I just can't. I don't know. There's just something about the fit of those that I really struggle with. Prefer Melee Audio's double flange tips. Yeah, those are Me Audio. Excuse me. Yeah, the Me Audio ones are really good. I like those a lot. I have those. The flange ones, and then the really skinny wide bore ones. Those things are awesome too. They also make some really good foam ones. They're like blue, and they're like rounded on top instead of more like the typical foam. They're like rounded circle. They're really comfy. Let's see. Any opinion on the Dan Clark Audio Noir? I can read. Haven't heard the Noir. I really want to. I've liked all the other Aeons, so I think that Noir would bring a different approach to things and be a little bit more of the all-in-one, which is kind of what I would be looking for. They isolate well, so they're my office headphone, but I tend to stick to my focals at home. Understandable. S12 is a good fit for you. Long nozzle. Yeah, I have no problems with the S12. I did have change tips on it, though. The S12 it's a little weird with the way that it kind of comes around the ear. May or may not work for every ear. Kind of depends on how it's built. Up in this section is where they can tend to bother me a little bit, and then I use dual flange. Noir sounds really nice. If you like the drop RT, it's closer to that sound. More bass than the standard. Well, that wouldn't be a bad thing, actually. They tended to be a little, the originals, especially the drop version, tended to be a little bit on the rolled side on bass. I did want just a little bit more. So that might be actually a good thing. I might like the Noir. You guys are talking me into it. Need one of those for a review too. All right, let's see. I got plenty of stuff right now. I tell you, headphone that does bass though. There you go. The good old Lyric from Meze. And it sounds good on the little Zen Can MZ99. I think the sub bass is surprisingly good on the Noir. Okay, that's good, because that's kind of where the other ones kind of lacked. They were more mid bass focused. So I would like a little bit more of sub bass and maybe to tame down the mid bass just a tad, bring up that sub bass. I wouldn't object to that. As long as the tonality is still the same and the treble is, I would like a little bit more air in the treble. Occasionally it could get a little, not stuffy, but close to stuffy. I don't know what the word would be. They need power. Mojo 2 drives them. Well, it is planar. I find that most Dan Clarks do take to power pretty good. Some planars are a little finicky. Dan Clarks tend to, they like a little juice. They respond to that. It's interesting with planars. Hey folks. Hey, what was that? Our Ruse? Our Ruse? I still have the Koss KPH30i drop edition in its original packaging. You collecting it? You're gonna. They're really good, actually. You should try them. Let's see. Love your reviews. In 2022, would you still recommend a Focal Elex? I'm currently on the HD58X, looking to make the next step up. If you're going from the 58X, I haven't heard the 58X. I have heard of 580. I do know that they're different. But I would say that the Elex would definitely be a step up from that. Yeah, I do recommend the Elex. I haven't heard it in a while since I did sell it, but it's a good step up. If you don't want to quite go that high, Sennheiser 660S might be a in-between step if you want to go that way. Elex is very nice though. It's kind of a baby clear. In fact, pretty darn near close to clear. All right, let's see. At bedtime here. Thanks for the answers. You have a good one. Hey, you too. And thank you for swinging by. All right, let's see here. Yeah, Focal Clear OG. I would, if I was gonna get Elex or OG Clear, I would probably lean OG Clear. If I can get it for the same price. But if I can't find an OG Clear for the same price as the Elex, I would go with the Elex. I haven't found the time to unbox it yet. Ah, okay. I thought you were doing like where people like purchase like an old Star Trek item or Star Wars and they keep it in the box, you know, and then they wait for all those years and then they turn it in thinking that it's going to be worth so much more money. I actually have over here, I have the drop version of these. I like the black ones better. I think they look better. Are they more comfortable? No. But do they sound different? No. But I like the all black better. Anyways, I've seen folks buy LPs and never listen to them. Why? Unless you have like 2 copies and you're saving one, I get that. But if you're going to buy music, listen to it. Yeah, I tell you what, Koss headphones are just like, there's just something special about them. They're just unique, they're different, and there's something that everybody should experience. Now, don't experience every single Koss because not all Koss are good, but there's certain Koss that you should, you know, try. KS75s, KPH30Is, it's slipping my mind. There's a monitor, really cheap. They're super flimsy. Close back. Anyways, there's a couple other Kosses that are really good. Yeah, 95Xs are another one that yeah, everybody should experience. Granted, the Energizer and the 95X needs to be replaced. You have to buy like this replacement extension cable thing that's expensive. But, or you can, I don't know if you can have them re-terminated or not. But either way, 95X is another one. There's several Kosses that like took the audiophile community by storm. And then there's other ones that are like, oh boy, what were y'all thinking? But the nice thing about Koss, and I have to give them this, is they always like just tried stuff. You know, they just took the chance, tried a unique design, tried something different, and you know, hey, if it flops, and we'll live another day to try another one and create something else. And I just think that's great, and they're very innovative and just yeah. Koss is just one of those companies that you just have to. Everybody has to experience them. All right, let's see. 58X is sort of halfway between 600 and 650. Okay. I've never heard the 58X. I do have the 580. They're up there behind. Man, it's really hard to get my. There we go. Over there. See, if you see the Ananda, it's the next one over. That's the 580 Precision Black Silk Edition. So I've heard that, but I have not heard the 58X, which is actually a Jubilee, which I didn't ever hear a Jubilee. Definitely a few duds with Koss. There's one, somebody, a friend of mine had them. He had them for a long time, and they were like metal, and they had like these volume knobs on the side. Super uncomfortable, mega heavy, really thick, like vacuum cord cables, and about the weirdest, most cavernous, strangest sound ever. And unique. Have I heard the HE6SE? No, have not heard that. I would love to. 58X is easier to drive, but the highs aren't quite as good as the 6XX. Ouch. Let's see. It takes a monstrously powerful amplifier, but they rock. The HE6SEs. Yeah, would my GSX Mini run it? I'm curious if that would have the right power. I saw somebody in here that said that they loved a GSX Mini, and I missed your comment. Let's see. Who said that? Somebody said that in the chat. I know I saw it. Where was it? Anyways, glad you enjoy your GSX Mini. Thing's awesome. All right. Bet it could. Okay, well, that's good to know. So if one gets sent in for a review, I would be able to run it off of that. Perfect. That's awesome. GSX Mini. You can't see it here on camera very well. You can barely see the blue. That is a fantastic amplifier. I really do love it. Curious about the ZMF Atrium. Hope I get to review it. It looks really interesting. Curious to see how it kind of fits in between the aria or the Otur and the Aeolus. See how it sounds. I'm really curious. Hope to get an opportunity to hear one at some point. Have not heard the GSX Mini, but I know it is well received. Yeah, it's very well received. Most people that hear it give it glowing reviews, not just yours truly. Currently have a Burson Solus 3XP. Love that amplifier. Very good amplifier. Bursons are. And I like their house sound. Very reminiscent to IFI's new house sound. Very detailed and a very natural sound. I like Burson a lot. I really do. Let's see. I love the sound signature of the Mileprice Modern Retros. The monoprice modern retros are an interesting headphone. For me, I didn't really appreciate them very much. I tried modding them. But I get where, like, if certain types of music, and if you do kind of tweak them, you can get them to take well to EQ, things like that. So I understand. I don't want to like bash them in the ground because they're only like $25. So I understand that. Um, I'm glad you enjoy them. I didn't. I'll just leave it at that. Let's see. Let's all email Zach and Bevan and get David tested. Hey, while you do that, also get me a Verite closed. All right, let's see. Um, I understand that. Just like not being a V signature guy, the mile price modern retros got you into it. I understand that, and they're a good Kickstarter into other things. So I understand that. Um, let's see. Dave's GSX matches his Rod Zero. That adds some extra magic. Oh, absolutely. And the crazy thing was, I did order the blue GSX Mini. When I ordered my Mini, I was like, I'm getting blue. I mean, why wouldn't I? And I had ordered the Red Zeros. I ordered a B stock Red Zero. And I got an email from Alex Rawson, and he was like, hey, love your channel and love what you do for the community. I think I have the proper Red Zero for you. Would you take up this special one? And I was like, sure. Do I, and so he didn't tell me anything about what color design was, what it looked like, anything of the sort. They arrived same day, and boom, there they were. They perfectly match each other, and it's like Justin and Alex knew that I like blue, and that I needed Red Zero and GSX Mini to match. It's pretty cool. I got some really cool pictures with them. Yeah, it's funny how that worked out. Um, let's see. Good cheap headphones, the modern retro. It is a fun one, especially if you want to tinker. Like if you want to try modding something, you're only putting in $25 into a retro, and then you can, change out the cable. You can, add in some foams, change the pads and that type of stuff. And it's very easy to do that way. It does have really flimsy wires on the inside. But overall, it's not a bad starter. Unfortunately, I didn't appreciate it as much, but I'm glad that other people do. I'm not going to bash you for saying. Gave it to a friend for gaming. It probably would actually be good for gaming. I don't recall if I did, and it's been a while since I heard one. I don't recall if I used it in gaming. The way that it does the soundstage with that kind of reverby thing, it might not be bad for gaming. Comfortable. I mean, you could game for hours on end. That's for sure. We'll do a VC campaign also. Thank you. Do greatly appreciate that. Let's see. One of the first reviews I remember from you was the Mom Price 1060. Yeah, that was actually kind of my kind of gateway headphone. So I had, trying to remember, what did I have back then? I had a topping stack. I had the D30, A30 D30 stack, I think, from topping. And then I had the Monoprice 1060s, which I sort of modded, put different pads on it. And then I have a little dot. They had a little dot tube amp, or I had the APPJ PA 502, whatever that number was. Used to be able to quote it, now I don't remember. Tube amp. And then I think I had a music hold DAC, and I may have had the Audio GD at that time. And then I went up to the advanced Alpha. Man, it's too late to be thinking about all the was that 4 years ago? The Advanced Alpha, and had some IEMs. I had the ADV GT3s, the old McCall GT600Ss. That was a long time ago. Then I got the T50s. I got the classics, ZMF classics, and then the Vibro Labs, and then a bunch of other T50s. I was into T50s. At one point, I owned like 5 of them. Then I went to the Monoprice THX 788 DAC amp, and I got the 789 CTH and LCX. Yeah, good times. Long time ago. All right, let's see. I kept modded the Monoprice Liquid Platinum because so many people compared the modded quality to the GSX Mini. It really sounds fantastic with those Dan Clark headphones. I've only heard the Liquid Platinum once. I heard it. I don't remember which headphone I heard it with. It was a dynamic of some sort. I do remember that. It wasn't like a 600 or an 800. It was like some other brand that's I don't normally get to listen to. And it sounded really good. I really liked it. I don't remember what tubes were in it. It was a good amp. I at one point I was thinking about getting a Liquid Platinum, but I haven't gotten one in for review. That's interesting that it goes with the Dan Clarks really well. I could kind of see that being a little bit warmer would kind of help that ether too, quite a bit. And it sounds like the GSX Mini. That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. All right, let's see. Member Barry, hey, what's up? Let's see. How do you like the Monoprice monitors you have? The ribbon tweeters look neat. Also, I have a cap modded Liquid Platinum and think it is quite awesome. The MM5Rs, they are interesting. They have a different approach to presentation than a normal cone tweeter or any of the other type of tweeters out there, as far as like the Sonys, the Wharfdales do. They have, it's more like a soft but direct approach. So they, like the Sonys, when they present, they're very much, here it is. It's like kind of forceful at you. Whereas the MM5Rs, when they present it, you're getting a full force, but it's doing it in a soft, gentle way. So it's not ear piercing and bleeding as bad as the Sonys are. I really do like their kind of gentler approach. If you've heard a headphone, the way that the headphone kind of presents and it's a little soft, gentle, but gives you everything, that's kind of the way that a ribbon tweeter does. It's like that approach. I'm hitting you hard, but it feels soft type of thing. I really do like them. Spoiler alert, I guess, for a review coming whenever it comes out. Let's see. Modern Retro is great for gaming with a mod mic. I could see that. Let's see. I can't do modding myself, so I got a kind fellow on Headphone to do it for $150. That's cool. That's the way I would be the same way. I tried modding the retros, and then I sent the Monoprice retros, and then I sent them to a friend, and he was like, "I don't know what you were doing." So yeah, my soldering abilities is not good. My understanding of electronics is not very good. I can tweak things, so to speak, like changing pads and hearing differences that way, but to do all the other stuff, yeah, no. Let's see. The Liquid Platinum has plenty of juice, and the tubes do flavor it a little. Well, that's good. That's one thing that's always a little curious when you're using tube amplifiers, is whether or not it'll power things properly. It's kind of odd. And then some tube amps take better to tube flavors than others. Some things don't portray it as well as others. Let's see. I like the Gold Lion tubes. I have never heard of Gold Lion. I need to get some. Probably would sound really good on my tour, along with like the 660Ss. I should think about that. All right, let's see. I have the Odom Audio T7V monitors, and they sound amazing, and the soundstage is wide. I actually heard those about a week ago. I was at a store, and they had those. They are really good. I would probably, if I were to upgrade from these, probably go to those. They're a little more pricey. But yes, the Odom Audios are actually really, really good. Let's see. Heard great things about the Odom Audios. I currently use the Kali Audio LP8 V2s and think they rock. You use a JBL sub. I have not heard any Kali Audios. Those are interesting. I have seen like pictures and stuff, but I've never actually heard one. JBL sub, very nice. I actually use a monoprice sub. I'm thinking about upgrading my sub, but not really sure if it would make too much of a difference. Gold lions are good tubes. That's good. Good to know. I have all sorts of tubes. I haven't really changed anything out in a while. I've kind of just stuck with what I have in there right now. I probably should do some tube rolling, but I've been so busy with everything else. Kali Audio is run by former JBL employees. Well, they should know what they're doing. Let's see. Tubes. Tubes are interesting because, like, when depending on what you're using to listen with, tubes might not make an impact. And then you change headphones and you change out your tubes, and you can hear a big difference. You can also hear differences when you use them with speakers. And then other things, you put in, you're like, is there a difference? Did it do something? And some are more subtle than others and differences. They're interesting. They're fun to tweak with mix and match. And that's something that I do not have the Bell Ari. I had to return to Bell Ari. It was a long. But the thing with tubes and mix and matching, see, I'm one of those types that I have to have everything be the same brand. And I don't like to mix and match and have it like oddballs. And so when I was doing tube rolling, I've learned it's okay to put in like RCAs with, Pavanis or, some other gold lions. If I had gold lions or, any of these other brands, it's okay to mix and match, Dave. It actually sounds really good to do it. I just have to like tell my brain, it's all right. It's all right. It doesn't have to be like all the same brand. Yeah, the Bell Ari was a interesting device. Very unique, very clean. And if you want something a little different and you like red, get a Bell Ari. They know what they're doing over there. I like Bell Aris. My sub is a mono price. It's a 8-inch front firing sub. It's got dual ports on the bottom, the big huge woofer on it. It's got, I can't remember how much power. 200 watt? I think it's 200 watts. Way overkill for my room. Okay. Any other questions? Quiet night. Everybody's so quiet. My radio voice is putting you all to sleep. You're like, oh. Please don't fall asleep. Let's see what else. What else do we got? Oh, something I haven't talked about much, and it's no longer available. You would have to get it on the used market. But I do have an Audeze Deckard, and that's an interesting DAC amp. I believe it's kind of based off of a Matrix. I don't know exactly which model of Matrix, but it's got a very natural sound to it, a little bit on the warm side with a wide stage. Does really good with depth and layering. Imaging is really spot on. Tone and timbre is excellent, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Bifrost too. Not quite as lush as a Bifrost, but just a little reminiscent of kind of the way that sounds. And it's kind of like a mixture between like a Soulcurse and a Bifrost. That's kind of how it reminds me of its tonality. I have a pair of Edifier R980Ts hooked up to... Whoop. Well, I was reading your message and it got retracted. So you got some Edifiers. Cool. I haven't heard any Edifier speakers. Would love to. Oh, here we go. I have a pair of Edifier R980Ts hooked up to an SMSL SP100 and SMSL B1 for my PC audio, and sounds surprisingly good for the price. Haven't heard either of those SMSLs. Have heard good things about them, and I've heard good things about Edifiers. Haven't heard an Edifier speaker, but from what I hear, they're a good budget brand that won't really they won't disappoint in what they offer. They actually usually excel and exceed their price points, which is good to know. As far as the SP100 and the B1s, haven't heard either one of those. Current tubes I'm using in the Platinum are Sylvanias, 6922s, and the E88CCs, and D-Getter gold pins. I have one set of tubes that has gold pins, I think. Maybe two. I don't remember. You didn't know much about them, but someone suggested them and you bought them, and they're quite good. That's good to know. That's kind of sometimes the best way to do it, is you just ask questions, and when somebody suggests it and they give you enough information regarding it, and if it sounds like it interests you, try them. You never know what you're going to get. They're from 1964. Wow. Cool. Didn't know that they'd been around that long. I understand the focus of your channel isn't on wireless audio, but do you have any personal recommendations for true wireless or Bluetooth headphones? Okay, Bluetooth's not my specialty, so I'm glad that you do understand that. As far as true wireless go, I'm kind of limited. I would stay away from both of the Moondrop offerings. If you do want to go Moondrop, Sparks is better than Nico Cake. Still, both of them are very uncomfortable for me. The Helms True Wireless is okay, especially in connectivity and things like that. Not exactly the greatest sound. It is a little bassy. Microphone it's all right, a little tin canny. The Drop Grells, just got those in. First impressions are frustrating. Very buggy. Sound-wise, they're actually pretty good if you can get them to play music. Microphone is all right. Honestly, probably the best thing to do is to get an IEM that you can replace the cables on, and then get those ones, I don't know, I think it's KZ makes them, Fio makes some, and there's a couple other brands in which they just loop over your ear and they have a transmitter in them for Bluetooth. That might be the better option to go, because then you're getting an IEM that you actually like the sound of. As far as transmitters only that you can connect a cable with, that's the way I would go. I would go with the IFI Go Blue and just use my wired IEM with it. That's my solution for Bluetooth. All right, let's see here. It cost me $70 in early 2020. It's not bad for a pair. It's not bad. All right, let's see. Only Bluetooth I think is halfway decent is the FIO BTR5. Something similar that uses LDAC. Hopefully they get lossless Bluetooth one day. Yeah, I didn't. BTR5 was okay for me. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I prefer the IFI Go Blue over it. But keep this in mind, the Go Blue does struggle with connectivity, whereas the BTR5 did not have that problem. The QLX 5K, 5K, I was not a fan of that. If you want to tinker with EQ and all kinds of settings and you're just like constantly messing with stuff, QLX, but I did not think that sounded good stock. You have to mess with all the settings in order to get it to sound halfway decent. Personally, if I Go Blue, is the way I would go. Just bear with it. If you stick it in your pocket, you might lose connectivity. It's a little finicky on its connections. And yes, IFI has a better sounding deck. To me, the IFI did sound better in the BTR5. You have the Klipsch T5s and like them for being wireless. I have not heard anything about the Klipsch T5s. I should check on Klipsch. They're literally like 70 miles down the road from me. Surely they would help out a fellow Indianer do some reviews. All right, let's see. Recommend the Soundpeats Mini Pro Hybrid Active Noise Canceling for True Wireless. Cool. Go Blue does look neat. Very small. The only thing I wish that they would have done is put a little clip on the back. Oh, by the way, it's got to be good. It's got the high-res sticker. Anyways, yeah. Go Blue. That's my what's your experience with R2R decks? I've heard two of them. I've heard the Solcris deck 1421. Actually owned that. And then I had the Shit Audio Bifrost 2. Well, multi-bit R2R. Had that in on extended loan for quite a few months. I really like both of them. Truly do enjoy them. I find that multi-bit and R2R adds a little bit more of a natural approach to the sound. And they do really good with staging, excellent with imaging, depth, and layering type of stuff. They do exceptional in that regard. Detail retrieval might not be quite as good as it could be on some others, but within the price points, they're very competent. I really do like R2R. So if you're looking for a little bit more lush, warm, natural tone, I would go with R2R. My current wireless is the FIO UTW53s paired up with the Timeless. Okay. Have not used the UTW53s, but I believe those are the little cable ones that I was talking about, and you can connect them into any of the IEMs, whether or not you're using 2-pin or MMCX. It depends on which version you get. So that would be a good option to use if you're going Bluetooth, if you don't want to use one of those transmitters. Cayenne RU6 R2R dongle deck with my phone lately. I bet you that thing sounds good. I've really wanted to hear it. Just haven't been able to get my hands on it. Have you seen the Cayenne R2R dongle deck? I've seen pictures of it. I've seen it advertised. I have not heard it. Would love to. The RU6 is interesting, for sure. And it's interesting because you can't see it on camera, but right here to my left is the FIO BTA 30 Pro. And that's pretty much Bluetooth focused, even though it does have USB in. It's meant mostly for Bluetooth. So I'm kind of being forced to listen to Bluetooth and to compare it with some other products. So that review will be coming out in probably a week and a half or so. So be on the lookout for that, and you might be surprised. All right, let's see here. Going through a P12 AES. Gungnir Curious. Gungnir. Did I miss something? Sorry. Anyways, the P12 AES has kind of blown my mind. Makes a big difference. Interesting. I'll have to check out some of these devices and see if I can get any in for review. I'm always getting suggestions of gear that I'm like, I need to venture out, maybe look into Bluetooth stuff a little bit more. Pi 2 AES. Oh, okay. I'm okay. I'm awake. It's a Raspberry Pi hat. Gotcha. Raspberry Pi 2 AES. I got you now. I understand. I haven't used a Raspberry Pi. Everybody loves them and uses them for so many things, and I've never experienced one. I've seen them in work, in being used, but I've never actually used one myself. SoundPeats Mini Pro is balanced and sounds crystal clear for the price. It's a great bang for the dollar with Bluetooth 5.2s. Interesting. Do I have a take on the KZ and their recent multi-driver shenanigans? I do. Now, this might be a little long-winded, so bear with me. All right, so with KZ, first and foremost, I want to make it very clear, I'm not going to do reviews of KZ products at the moment, and I'm not going to do comparisons involving KZ products. I will not do any recommendations of KZ products at this moment. The reasons. I do believe in some way, shape, or form, KZ knew what they were doing. I think the way that their letter is written, their apology letter explaining things, I think it shows that they knew they were cutting corners. And they did enough so that they can go, they're working. Those drivers do work. They're not really enhancing anything, but we did say it has X amount of drivers in it. One of them or maybe two of them are doing all of the work. All these other ones are working at very minimal things, volumes, or they're presenting something, but it's not affecting the sound signature at all. And I think that KZ knew what they were doing. They got busted for it. And so they did a CYA out to the community and hoping that the community will go, oh okay. And we're just going to continue on going on. As I told KZ, I want the dust to settle. And I want them to prove to the community that they aren't actually just out to make a dollar based on, we've got 50 drivers in these IEMs, 25 each side. Only one driver works. The other 24 are just for show, but it sounds good. I want them to do something. If they're going to do that many drivers, for example, all of them need to work and they need to be listenable and hearable. And I'm until KZ reproves themselves to the community, I'm just going to move on. That's my stance on it. I do think KZ knew what they were doing. They just thought that everybody was going to just take it for granted and then not think that they would ever get busted for it. They wanted to see how far they could push the envelope and continue making a profit. That's my take. KZ is a hit or miss. They're more of a miss for me right now, unfortunately. Initial impressions of the Zendak Sig V2 versus Modius. Haven't heard the Modius, sorry. But the signature V2 sounds very good. Let's see. I got a pair of KZ ZST Pros, and it's good for the price. KZ has some iffy ethical business practices. They definitely do. They got busted for it. They got called out by the community, and they put out a CYA that basically says, hey, you know, we said it was doing this, and it is doing this, but no. If you're going to put that many drivers in, they all need to be functional, and they all need to be altering the sonics appropriately. All right, so let's see. That's going to be it for my KZ stuff. So if you've asked for comments in the comments for a response into what do I recommend a KZ or CCA product, you're not going to get a response from me. All right, so let's see here. Have I heard the Olina? No, I have not heard the triple in Olina. I really, really do want to hear the triple one Olina. Hopefully one will get sent in for a review. Have any DAP reviews coming soon? My Hibby R3 battery is going and looking to replace it. I haven't done DAP reviews much. I did do the Heidi's AP80 Pro. I think it's on my website. I think I did a video of it. And the R3 I have not heard. I do have a couple DAPs that I could review. DAPs are hard to review. Truthfully. But I'm not going to make any promises. If you're looking for any DAP recommendations, depending on price point, $300 price point, Sony A105 I really like. I like the fact that you can do it direct source, or you can do it with all kinds of alterations that Sony includes that'll make your sound, you can get it sounding really lush, warm, and all that kind of stuff, or you can do it direct source based on how the file is mastered. Or if you want to spend some more money, I really love my Sony WM1A, and it has the same functionality as the A105 with direct source or with all kinds of alterations. The A105 is Android based, WM1A is not. Yeah, rest in peace, R3. I've always wanted to hear an R3, never got the opportunity. Sorry to hear that yours is kind of going down. And unfortunately, batteries, that's part of living off of battery life. It is going to happen. I wish that some DAPs would have replaceable batteries, kind of like phones and stuff can have that. Maybe in the future they'll start implementing that. Let's see, the new M11 Sabre version would be nice. Upgrade from a Hibby R5. Okay, yeah, that would be an option. That's kind of similar to price points. That wouldn't be a bad choice. I have not heard any FIO DAPs. I've heard good things about the M11s. And anything with a Sabre, I'm pretty much liking. So, let's see. I have a FIO M9. That's a few years old. It's okay. But to be honest, I'd rather use my LG V50 with RU6. I can understand that. Let's see. I would recommend the Lotu Paw Gold Touch if you can stretch your budget. Yeah, I think it's a little pricey. I've heard good things about Lotu those, and the Paw. I do like the look of the gold though. That thing does look pretty sweet. Like the look of that. Yeah, replaceable batteries on DAPs, definitely. That needs to be something that it happens, because you can't. I mean, you can run them plugged in, so to speak. Some of them run that way, some don't, and it would be nice to have replaceable batteries. Not like a little alkaline battery, but an actual like cell phone battery or something. Yeah, the ESS DAC, I can understand the ESS DACs devices that I've heard as of late have really taken a step forward. I've really enjoyed them a lot. The Paul Gold does look crazy. It's pretty. And, I mean, I think that my Sony WM1A is nice, especially if you don't have the case on it. But the Paul Gold kind of puts it to shame. All right, let's see. Yeah, the Paul 5000 Mark IIs look nice too. I haven't heard any low 2 product. I should try to get one in. Thing that's nice, Cow and Plenus are nice. I've heard good things. I've actually heard one in the past, but I owned the Pioneer, which I think is siblings or something. Give me a moment. Now it's not as pretty. It's not as pretty as a low 2. I do have a big, huge, thick case on it. And thing that I like about the Sony, so if you're listening to music, okay, and you lift up, kind of hard to see on screen, but it says direct source on. And so if you click direct source off, it takes you to all these different options that you can change your EQs and all sound signatures and all kinds of things. So if you're a bit perfect person like I am, you just do direct source on. But if you like to tweak it and things like that, you just turn direct source off and you have all kinds of options that you can just fiddle around with presets, or you can change them all manually. So that's a nice thing that Sony includes with theirs. I've heard a lot of people that have said, "Well, Sony's are super warm. They have all this and that." And the first thing I always ask them is, "Did you turn on direct source?" Because if you turn it up to direct source on, you lose all that warmth that they have. Yeah, dongle decks don't have batteries. That is one advantage to it. Does somewhat take a little bit of your battery from your cell phones. They have gotten better at usage over the years. But yes, that is one advantage to it. Sony is chunky. Yeah, it's hefty. And it's big. I mean, it fits in my hand, and I have a rather large hand. And yeah, it's thick. Don't ask me to take this case off. It'll take me about 10 minutes to try to squeeze that thing off. It is on there like a super glued glove, man. That thing is that. If you're looking for a case, if you have a Sony DAP, check out Fat Bear. Fat Bear, just like it sounds. FATBEAR. Fat Bear, and that brand makes excellent cases for the Sony DAPs, and they make them pretty much for all the models, as far as I know. When you edit your videos, which headphones do you use as studio monitors? Don't really edit too much, but I do add in a few things, I guess. Especially as of late, I've added in some links and stuff you might have noticed up in the corners. But I use my Ether Cs as a headphone to check to make sure that everything sounds okay as far as volume levels and voicing. Make sure that the microphone wasn't crackling or anything of the sort. And then I also do play them back on my speakers, which are the Monoprice MM5Rs. But yes, the Ether C, which is a fantastic close back. Unfortunately, I don't make it anymore. I have the original. If you want about as close as you can get to the original Ether, get an Ether CX. Yeah, the Meze 99s, they're a fun little can. Furthest thing from reference and furthest thing from neutral. Nice colored, just a fun, bassy, warm, ooey gooey, lush, relaxed sound. Meze 99s. If you put them on the wrong amplifier, though, they will get too thick, and they won't sound very good. You do have to pair them with a good amplifier. You edit videos and you use the Aeon RT closed. Yeah, that would be a good headphone to use in that regards, especially if you change out the little filters, and I can't remember which ones. Probably the thin white ones, I think, are the ones that I would use. Yeah, the Meze 99s. I actually use them so much that my original pads went bad, and so I had to get the Duconi replacements, and I really like the Duconi replacements, the solid leathers, not the fenestrated. Sounds just like the originals. The Meze or the IFI MZ99 Zen can actually helps out the 99 Classic a little bit. It does kind of lessen the bass just a little bit, so it's not quite as thumpy, and you get a little bit more wider of a stage, a little bit more air. So if you think that the Meze 99s are a little too girthy for you, maybe try the MZ99 version of the Zen can. Following up about your rad recommendation earlier, I love the OG Empyrean. Is the rad as warm and as lush as that? No. It is a little bit more on the neutral side than the Empyrean. I actually have a big comparison on my website with between the Ether C, the Empyrean, and the rad, and I think I put one more headphone in there. Could be mistaken. Let me look real quick. Nope, it's the Rawson Rad Zero, Meze Empyrean, and Mr. Speaker's Ether C comparison, and it is on the website, so it breaks it all down as to how you can check it. I literally titled it "My Hardest Comparison Ever." And someone mentioned about pictures of my Rad Zero with the GSX Mini. On the website, those pictures are there. If you want to go check that real quick, you can look at the Rad Zero review. There's some pictures in there, and also in the comparison, there's some pictures with the GSX very prominent, along with the Rad Zero. You'll see the blue very much matches. Let's see. Yeah, the Empyrean and the Rad Zero. Now, keep in mind, you can get different tunings of the Rad Zero. So I have the neutral tuning of the Rad Zero. You can, Alex Rawson will tweak it for you if you want it to have more bass, more treble, a little bit more mid-forward, things like that. He can tune it to be that way. But the version I have is a neutral tuning. And then, so the Empyrean and the Rad Zero really complement each other very well. I actually like the Empyrean more than the Elite. When I heard them, I just need that warmth. I absolutely, totally agree with you. I like the Elite. I think the Elite is a very good headphone. The thing about it, when they tweaked it to give it a little bit more detail, a little better resolution, which is good. but they expanded out the soundstage and they lessened out a little bit of the warmness to it. And to me, it lost its natural tone. To me, it's more stretched and doesn't sound as natural and correct. It to me, the Elite seems to be a little too artificial. Do you have any audio content creators that you watch regularly or recommend? To be honest, if you had asked me that question 3-4 months ago, I probably would have been able to name a few. Now, I really don't watch anything. I used to watch reviews. I used to watch content creators, audio content creators, things like that. And it's just, I'd rather just do my own thing and move on. As far as other content creators and stuff, yeah, I watch all kinds of stuff. One thing that it's really weird that I've been watching lately, I don't know why, and I actually hate almost, well, I wouldn't say hate, but I highly dislike flying, which is crazy because when I was a teenager, I thought I wanted to be a pilot. But anyways, I've been watching like flying videos, whether it's be like air shows or just weird things flying, stunts, crashes, and stuff like that. But I don't recommend you do that before you fly. Anyways, yeah, I watch that. I watch a lot of like racing videos. I also watch a lot of gaming videos and streamers, especially like sim racing. So I'm very much into like a lot of sim racers. Watching Jimmy Broadbent is probably like my most favorite one, and Gamer Muscle is also another one that I watch quite often. Those two guys are hilarious. And I watch a lot of I do watch like different podcasts for like news and things like that, but if we won't get into that, that's for a different type of channel. All right, let's see here. Yeah, the Elite it's a good headphone. It really is a good headphone. And I can understand why some people would like it better than the original, and then why people like myself and Alex prefer the original over it. It's kind of like the Aria and the Aria Stealth. It's you either like the original Aria or you like the stealth version. I prefer the stealth version versus the original. And the Empyrean's kind of the same way. Like you got the regular and the Elite, but the one that's the oddball and meze, and it actually sounds really good. The Lyric review coming. By the way, super good at isolating. Very good at isolating. All right, let's see here. I'll say the Verite has more of the top end neutral tuning to my ears, hence why I am investigating warming it up. Yes, the Verite Close does have a little bit more extension, a little bit more elevation in the upper registers, so I can see that. Why you would want to maybe add in a little bit of warmth, especially from tubes. Bad Guy, good audio. Yeah, he does good stuff. And he's very honest, truthful, and he's just going to tell you how it is. And the other thing I like about Bad Guy is he uses music that he's very familiar with. He understands what he's looking for in his music. And so when he hears gear, he knows exactly how it should sound. And that's important. I think a lot of reviewers don't do that. They're not familiar because either they're rotating gear in and out. They're just going off of what's being sent in for review. So they'll have this DAC or this amp or this dongle, this thing, this blah 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 in for X amount of time, and they lose consistency. Whereas if you have gear consistently and you have a reference and a benchmark set, you understand what you're looking for and what it should sound like. Same thing with music. If you have set music that you use in your review process, and you know exactly those songs, you know them by heart, you know exactly where everything is in it and how it should sound, you're going to understand when something comes in and you're like, whoa, that's not supposed to sound like, or holy cow, I've never heard it that way. This is like how it should actually sound in real life, that type of thing. You'll hear differences more and you'll understand what you're actually hearing when you have consistency in your music and in your gear. And you have to have good quality music, not necessarily a certain genre. It has to be quality recorded, mastered, and mixed music. And also it should also be a very much a accurate musical, as far as like being able to show you all the different types of instruments and acoustically, electronically, and all that type of stuff. And then also your gear needs to be good and resolving and detailed and have proper tone and timbre. And you should be able to tell differences between it. There you go. Rant over. Yeah, there's, in my opinion, I guess I'm going to go back to rant. A lot of reviewers don't have benchmarks, don't know what they're listening for, or at least appear to. I shouldn't say they don't, because I don't know that 100% positive. They appear not to have like the benchmarks and the set standards, and they just kind of are going, well, this does this does that, this, and they don't really have a solid benchmark to set things against. If you have paid attention to my channel for any length of time, you'll know that the MyTech Liberty has been with me for a long time. The GSX Mini's been here for quite a while. The One Linear's been here for a long time. And I've also had headphones here for quite a while. Hi-Fi Man Ananda, Sennheiser HD600s, Mr. Speaker Ether C's. My Red Zeros have been with me for quite a while now. Things like that. I have things that I have benchmarks for. IEMs, I'm very much set on what I use as benchmarks. And I think that's a very, very important part to being a reviewer, is having benchmarks and standards and having quality music. Which IEM you recommend under $100 for EDM? Well, to be honest, I don't listen to a ton of EDM, but I do listen to some. You're going to want some bass. You're going to want some like good sub bass. Let me cheat real quick. I'm going to go to my list. I am going to sort it by $100 because my brain doesn't pull things up real quick off of $100. Let's see, that's a pass. One that might be fun to listen to, that's $100, is the Tri-Meteor. That one does bass very well. It's very well controlled. It has a little bit of a laid back, kind of upper mid-range and treble. But it still does details real well and has good clarity up there. So that might work with EDM. Let's see what else we got here. We've got T3 Plus may do it, but it might not have enough bass for EDM. Titan S would not be a good one for it. Let's see what else we got. Oh, the Fearless Barcelona is kind of one that may get you what you're looking for. It's got nice, big, powerful bass, enough treble presentation to it. Let's see. The 111 Melee would be a fun one for EDM. I'm sure I'm forgetting something along those lines, but that's a good starting point. I'm cool. Well, thank you. I tried to be. Thank you for the compliment there. Yeah, I think if the for EDM, the the way that you want the bass presented and the way that you want the treble presented really comes into place. You don't want it to really be a V shape though, because if you get too much V shape, then the mids, which are like where the instruments and stuff are, will kind of sound sucked out, and you'll get too much percussions and too much of everything else. So you kind of want a slight V for EDM. Excuse me. Versus a full-on V. I think a V that will mess up your mids too much, and things will just sound a little funky and unbalanced. You could probably, if you can find it, you could get a TFC number 3 that may be a little too V-shaped though. I'd probably go try Meteor. Probably would be the one I would go for. Moondrop Aria for EDM would probably be okay. The only concern I would have with that is the Aria is a little bit aggressive in its presentation in the uppers. And so I think that that might come across as being fatiguing listening to EDM music, the way that the beat is, and with the hi-hats and cymbal work that you can get with EDM. I think that that might, at least for me, would be a little fatiguing. Bought the S12 after your review. Can't wait for them to arrive. Can't wait to hear your impressions of it. I think that you'll truly enjoy it. The S12s are something special. I like that you reflected back on how far your audio journey and channels have come over the past 4 years. Can you share a bit more of how you started in the hobby? Talked about this before, but I'll gladly share it again. So growing up, I was always around music. So my mom played piano and played organ, gave piano lessons, was very musical. Everybody in my family is very musical. In fact, a lot of my uncles and aunts can sing, play instruments, and all that kind of stuff. My sisters can play music, sing, and so I was always around that. And growing up in church, I was involved in like the sound booth, learning how to run the soundboard, learning how to do recordings and how to transfer from digital to tape, the CDs and all that kind of stuff. And setting up microphones and just learning how to placement things so you don't get a bunch of glare and a bunch of reverbs and all that kind of stuff. And then getting into the audio journey as far as my channel, that just kind of happened one day. I've always been interested in audio, but I never really had audio products as far as like headphones and stuff. And then I was like, I'm going to buy some gear. And as I started to really look at it, I was like, this would be interesting to have a YouTube channel that started as a noob and then expanded out. And so my channel is just kind of my journey going forward. Because as you saw, right at, as I was talking about earlier, and if you go back through and you look through all my reviews, I've had some really low, I started with monoprice M1060s and all that kind of stuff. And I just want to share my journey with you all as I grow and help you guys all grow with me. And that's what a community is about, in my opinion, is helping each other and enjoying along with each other and sharing in each other's enjoyments and failures. If you learn something that's like, oh man, the thing was like bad, share it and explain why and what you learned from it and teach others. And same thing, if you enjoyed something and learned something from it, share it with people. And enjoy music and enjoy sound signatures. And that's what this community, audio community, is about. It's not a competition to see who can get to the top. It's about helping each other to enjoy music and to learn what sounds good and what doesn't. When it comes to an interface, does higher ones sound best? You talking like a USB interface, like a board, or like a recording interface? I don't use one. I actually use a USB microphone going into my phone. I do no interfacing. As far as boards that I've experienced in real life, going from a Mackie analog 24 to the Allen and Heath QU24 that we currently have at church, yes, there's a big difference. You can definitely hear differences in that, but that's totally different. That's professional world versus this. So if you could clarify that on interfaces. Hi, Chris. How are you doing? Yeah, I've always having an interest in music, learning, being around it, hearing it live, doing all that kind of stuff, really kind of spurned me to go from the crappy in-ears I got with my cell phones and just junky headphones that you buy from the dollar store and or whatever to, hey, well, I want to hear what sounds natural, what sounds accurate, what sounds true. Can I get that in this life by spending a few extra dollars? And that's what my journey started as. Was, hey, I got this gear and I want to share it and explain my thoughts. And yeah, you can hear differences, and there's more to being just pure objective or being pure subjective. You have to have a middle road and take bits and pieces from both and mush them together to truly understand what music is all about. There is room for subjectivity and objectivity. And these objectivist, I guess, objective festivals that have been going on in the review world and just in the audio community as a whole on servers and forums is really starting to get annoying to me. Because graphs, measurements don't tell the entire story. And in order to be able to understand how something sounds and how something pairs together and synergies and just overall presents, you have to have a subjective side. You have to go, it doesn't sound exactly like it graphs. That's just me. I'm always going to be a subjectivist. There's always going to be a little bit of subjectivity to music, to me. And everybody has a slightly different view of like what is neutral, what is flat, what is this, and what things like that. And that's where subjectivity comes into play. It's amazing how far I've come in just 4 years with audio. Do you have a ideal goal of where the next 4 years will bring? Next 4 years? I haven't thought that far ahead. But I would like to continue the way I'm going and, be able to review gear that is special and unique, and that I would have never thought that I'd be able to hear in real life. And I know that sounds weird, but there's some stuff that everybody reviews. And yeah, I want to review some of that hype stuff or, some of that. But I would like to be able to get to the point where I can hear those one-off boutique items or just what most everybody would say is unattainables, and be able to hear it and review it and just present it to you all to be able to go, hey, look, if you ever get the opportunity, if you ever come across this, like you're in the middle of no man's land and you come across this shop owned by Billy Bob or whoever, stop by and purchase one of these because it sounds fantastic. And this is my experience of it. I would love to be able to have that ability to find those type of items. I think that would be cool. That would be a fun channel. Was it Anthony Bourdain or where he journeys through the world and tries all the different foods from different countries. I would love to be the audio person who goes to, wherever across the seas, finds that one little shop that made some unique item, review it, and show it to everybody. I think that would be fun to do. Probably never happen, but I appreciate how you look at things. You definitely influenced my own lockdown audiophile gear journey. Yeah, I mean, or look down. There's a way to approach things with an open mind, and to be able to accept both sides and see both sides, but yet still make your own opinion about it. And that's the approach I take is, here's what the measurements say, here's what the graphs say, and here's what everybody else says about it. Here's what I hear. This is what I believe. And then this is actually my final picture of it. And that's kind of the way I approach things is I want to be honest and truthful about my experience and give my thoughts and opinions and not be influenced by everybody else, not worry about what everybody else thinks. It's just, here's my honest opinion to you all. It's always been about how it sounds to you that's important. And as I get older and my hearing degrades, I'll look for different things as time rolls on. Yeah. That's, to me, that's what the most important thing is does it sound natural and accurate to me? And that's the way I look at it. Because I look at that for everything in life. I'm not much for artificially enhanced items. Every now and then I'll get into that little, hey, that's kind of cool, and have a moment where I enjoy something. But for the most part, I'm a purist, and I like things to be as is. Earlier, I was talking about tubes, and they all have to be the same manufacturer, and they all have to be all lined up. And to me, that's the best way to enjoy things is in purity. And I'm looking for music to be presented the way that it was recorded, and the way the instruments sound in real life. I want to experience it as I am in real life. Hopefully that ramble made sense. Signing off, back to work. Thanks for the live stream. You're welcome, Christy. Yeah, Anthony Bourdain, that's his name. Like Dan Clark does, he respects and bonds both sides and makes it not making a war. That's absolutely right. There's a balance to things, and if you understand how it works objectively, and then you can take your subjective side and mix them together, that's when you get the enjoyment. Because you're not trying to critique it completely and fit it and pigeonhole it, and you're not trying to be like, and just be subjective. You understand how everything works together. Thanks for IEM recommendations. What would you recommend for true wireless? Is it better option to use Bluetooth adapters for IEMs to turn them to true wireless? That's the way I would go. Every true wireless I've had, it's been kind of, I like certain aspects, don't like certain aspects. Using those true wireless cable things are kind of funky. I would just use an adapter. And transmitter, I would just go with like IFI Go Blue. I'm glad that you love your videos, and yeah, you're on YouTube, JM. Awesome. All right, let's see. You mentioned music suggestions at the beginning. Let me throw this at you. Movies that center around music, not musicals. Check out Hype: Surviving the Northwest Sound Explosion. I will look for that. Okay. I will look that up. Let's see. About the Seattle scene of the 90s. Okay. Gotcha. So it's like about grunge music. That'd be interesting. There were a couple other, I saw a couple things come through on my, I think it was Amazon Prime recommendations about like different music documentaries and stuff. I'll have to look up. My wife probably wouldn't want to watch them, so I'll have to watch them by myself. That's kind of cool. I, I don't want to sound like I'm a snob, or anything like that when but I do think that unfortunately there's too much of a focus right now on the measurements tell the truth and tell everything that you need. And in my opinion, they don't. They give you a snippet and they give you a portion of it, but they don't tell you the actual tonality. They don't tell you the timbre of it. They don't tell you how it's going to detail. They don't tell you how it's going to resolve. It just gives you an idea and it gives you a look into the possibility, but it's not set in stone. So you cannot take. Now I haven't tried this, but I would believe that you cannot take a graph and take your headphone or IEM, DAC or amp, and just say, okay, I'm going to use this gear, this inside it, and go, we're going to put it like this, and just base it straight off of the graph and have it sound good. I don't think you can do it. You're going to have to listen to it and verify that. But I've never done it in real life, so I could be completely wrong. But that's just my opinion. That you can't tune something specifically just off of a graph because you don't see the full picture. Just a question. When was your last hearing test? I laugh a bit when they state an IEM has a range of 20 to 20K. Most of us don't even hear past 12K. If you're lucky. That being said, it sounds good. Well, Carmine, to be truthful, I have never had an official hearing test. My hearing tests have always been one of those little gimmicks that I use. So, there you go. Honest is the name, Honest Audiophile. So, I have not officially ever had a hearing test. I did have somebody make a comment the other day that I have hearing damage. I must have hearing damage, and that I'm old because they didn't agree with me. Yeah. Okay, fine. Believe that if you want. Don't attack me personally, though. I've also had other people really start to annoy me again because, again, they disagree with a review. And the one comment, the comment that comes up frequently, you must have a broken pair. QC problem. Can't say that. All right. Would you be interested in, or can we expect a future turning collaboration for an IEM for you, similar to what we've seen from Critical or HBB? If I was approached, dependent on the manufacturer, I would be interested. And it doesn't have to be a headphone or an IEM. It could be a DAC or an amp. Let's see. I haven't had a hearing test since I was in school for a physical. That's probably the last time I had one. I honestly don't even recall if they tested my hearing for that. Let's see. Would you be interested? Or answer that one. Let's see. What do you think about remasters of songs? Remasters of songs can be good. Some of them sound really good, and then some of them don't sound so good. It just kind of depends. I think it goes back to how good the actual master is. Because if something is poorly mastered to begin with, you're not going to be able to fix it up anyways. It's still going to have flaws in it. So I think it really truly goes back to the original master track. But I don't really know a whole lot about that. That's not my world. Some of them sound good, some don't. Right, let's see. If you have Tidal, there are sound tests on there that will do sweeps, and you can tell what you hear up to. Don't do it on YouTube because the compression won't do the highs. Yeah, I actually do have. I use a couple of different tests. Like there was one on my phone when I had a Samsung that had it. There's one on my OnePlus that I did, which was kind of weird. I've done some others that are on like websites, and I've always been, and that's subjective to how loud you have the volumes. So they always recommend you to do it at normal listening volume. So the last I recall, it was somewhere in the 16 to 17K range that I was able to hear the slightest of beeps. And I mean, I'm not, who knows how scientific that is and how accurate it is. Let's see, hopefully you don't have tinnitus. I actually do suffer from tinnitus, just a little bit, especially when I'm tired. Or also if I've listened to a lot of music, especially IEMs, for a lengthy time during a day. But the tinnitus does not last for days on end. Usually with a solid night's sleep, it's gone. Or a rest, it goes away. And just to be clear, because some people might say others, I do listen at very, very low volumes. I listen anywhere between 65 and 75 dB all the time, and that includes with speakers. Now, I will raise it every now and then, especially if it's a quieter song, but I am very, very cautious about my volume of listening. And I've trained my ears to listen at very low levels. Let's see. There are a few hearing tests on YouTube. Hopefully you don't have tinnitus. Looks like whoops. Looks like there's one by an artist audio doctor. Okay. Which is better, Aria or Tin T3 Plus or Triple and Melee? I would rank those T3 Plus, Melee, and Aria off of preference. Aria is better than Melee though, with detail retrieval, resolution, and it's got a more full sound, but I don't like the more aggressive nature of the Aria. T3 Plus is a little bit more rounded and a little more pleasing than Aria. I like that a little bit better. Melee is kind of the more fun, laid back can. So give me earphone, not can. Let's see. Would you see any reason for keeping Aria Stealth and Ananda? Because I'm having a hard time finding where the extra cost is when it comes to the Aria Stealth. Aria Stealth's going to have the bigger soundstage. Aria Stealth is going to be a little bit more immersive in its stage, a little bit better depth and layering. The Ananda is going to be a little bit more mids focused, and Aria is going to be a little bit more, more technical than the Ananda. Kind of depends on what you're looking for. I like both, really do, but I do lean towards liking the Ananda a little bit better. Let's see. Larry, just wanted to see you read that. Of course, I'm goofing around. What did you type that I read that I wasn't supposed to? What? Oh, about the hearing test thing? Gotcha. Let's see. Just wanted to see you read that. I knew you were goofing around. All right, let's see. Mine's getting better, but I had it since last May. Oh, tinnitus? Ooh, that's bad. Yeah, ear health is hard. Tinnitus, there's certain things that kind of play into it. I did a lot of research on it. And you can take some vitamins, like they say multivitamins and things like that help tinnitus a little bit too. So I just say just do a little research on it. Hopefully it gets better, because it can be very annoying. Constantly hearing a little ringing in the background, kind of annoying. I'm investing in an audio system. I've called 4 places and advised them what I wanted, and only one of those places advised me to take measurements of the room and pictures to advise me. I haven't done any speaker setups. Depending on how big of a project it is and things like that, I hear that they can be pretty in depth. Um, see, there's something about a nicely done IEM that I have not found translated into headphones. Headphones are convenient. IEMs need that personal fit. There's something about how IEMs present music. I totally agree. It's like you can't really say headphone is better than IEM. IEM is better than this, or speaker is this or that. I would say speakers are better than both of them, and but all three present in a different way. And I actually at times prefer IEMs over headphones, and then vice versa. And it kind of depends on my use case and presentation of them. But IEMs have a different approach to it than either speakers or headphones. And IEMs have gotten a whole lot better with depth and layering and soundstage and being a lot more accurate than they used to be. And they also are getting a real lot better with like separation and tone and timbre. They're doing a whole lot better than they ever used to. So yeah, IEMs are definitely taking the step up. Let's see. Which IEMs do you use in your personal time? I use the Fearless Roland, and I also use the CTM DaVinci 10. Do you have any guilty pleasure headphones or IEMs that you enjoy for just being fun? Oh yeah, absolutely. 99 Classics. Let's see what else I got over here. I've got the Vibro Labs Curly Maple T50, which is a very fun sound. And also, as IEMs, the Tri-Meteor is a very fun sound. I really do enjoy that. A little IEM, kind of bassy, kind of fun. I really enjoy the... Where are they? These, they're not made anymore. They're the Drop Universals. I love the fit of them. They are one of, if not the most comfortable IEM I own. They are incredible how they just mold it to the ear and just disappear. They're crazy good. Plenty more. I mean, I have all kinds to think about. But yeah, I have some guilty pleasure stuff. 99 Classics, though, are probably my go-to for when I just want to jam out. Okay, let's see. Speaking of headphones, what is so special about the 18,000 one for sale? You talking about the HE1? Don't know. I haven't heard that one. What do you think about budget speakers like Edifier? Haven't heard Edifier speakers, but I own some budget speakers. Wharfdale D310s. If you're looking for passives, they're very good. Sony SSCS5s or whatever the model number is. Sony, you need to change your model numbers, and I'm even talking about the DAPs. Anyways, monoprice MM5Rs you could probably fit into budget. They come in and rate around about 300 to 350 for a pair. Very good. I think that speakers, you can really find some gems in budgets, but I'm not like a big speaker guru. That'd be a question to ask Sean. Let's see here. Have you ever heard the Shure SE215s? I believe I have, and they are some bassy boys. Fun, very warm, very, very, very bassy. Would not use them as a monitor. AKG 701, a high-end headphone, and would you recommend the $500 a set? 701s, if you can live with treble, sure. Very nice soundstage. Pretty good tonality. Sound good on tubes. And yeah, the kind of question mark depends on what you're looking for. Hope you like treble. Let's see. Yeah, $18,000. Look, if you have that type of money for an HE1, and you already have a setup for every, with your DAC and your amp, and it all is, super high end, and money isn't an option for you, or isn't a issue for you, sure, why not? But how much different is it than something, say, that's $16,000 cheaper? I I don't know. Don't have one to compare it to. Tell you what, you buy it and send it to me to review, I'll let you know. Let's see. You're right. The tech in an IEM has grown by leaps and bounds. When I introduce IEMs to friends, to one they've blown away, first by the bass and then by the details, old songs take on new life. Yeah, absolutely. If you were to listen to an IEM, even one that's like 2 or 3 years old, and compare it to one of the newer ones that come out, like a quality one that's come out, you'll notice significant differences. And it could even be from the same manufacturer. There's been a lot of good improvements in IEM technology. So I think that when you look at headphones and IEMs, I think IEMs have taken the next step. I would really like to see headphones do that. There's a couple headphones that are coming out that have like multi-driver stuff. I would really like to see headphones do more of that, like manufacturers to do, like different technologies with like a tweeter and a sub woofer, or something like that, or do planar with biocellulose, or something like that. Really try to change it up and see what they can do with that technology. Now, it may be hard to fit into an ear cup, but if they can do it in an IEM, surely they could do it in a headphone. I would like to see headphones start to take those chances and do some things different. Be curious to see what they could come up with. I mean, you have a headphone that comes out with an AMT tweeter for a headphone. Surely they can do some other things. I know that those headphones will probably drive up a price a little bit, but it'd be interesting to see the technologies and what comes out of it. I'd like to see that. But I am not an electrician. I don't know how all that works, and things like that. So, but if you can get it in a small IEM, surely you can get it into an earphone or a headphone, excuse me. All right, let's see. Love your answer. Thank you. You're welcome. Glad that you enjoyed that. Let's see. Do you have any custom molded IEMs, and how much of a difference do they make to the sound, or is it more fit and comfort? Don't have it yet. I do have one on order. Hopefully it'll be coming soon. Been waiting. It's been about almost 5 weeks now. Supposedly they're supposed to take somewhere between about 4 to 6 weeks. So I'm hoping maybe this next week I'll get them. From what I understand, customs tend to be a little bit more sealed, so you get better bass response and a little bit more control. So it's a little bit about fit and a little bit about comfort, but also seal. Let's see. Will this live stream be posted? Yes, once YouTube does its thing afterwards. Unless something funky goes on with processing, it will be available to replay. All right, let's see. I have had a couple of live streams that didn't go through and weren't able to be re-upped. So hopefully that does not happen, but occasionally things do happen with the tech world. But that's the plan. It will be re-uploaded. Okay, with the way headphones IEMs have advanced recently, do you think they will hit a plateau soon, like cell phones? That's a good question. I think what you're going to see in the IEM world is kind of like what happened with the headphones. Is you're going to get to a spot where they all kind of do the same thing, and they kind of go through a meandering point and plateau, and you're going to get the same technology rolling, and then eventually something new will come, and then they'll take off again. I don't know how long that'll be or when that will be, but I can see that happening. Hopefully headphones will kind of kickstart and we'll start seeing some stuff. I know there's a couple of headphones coming out. Like there's, I think it's Alex Grell's doing something on Kickstarter with it's called like the Heavy, which is like a ANC type of Bluetooth headset that's made for like metal. and it's supposed to have a subwoofer and a couple tweeters. I think it has 8 total drivers in it. I think it's either 6 or 8 drivers. Looks kind of interesting. So maybe that's where they need to start going a little bit, is thinking along those lines. Maybe if this headphone that's coming out takes off and other manufacturers go, well, if he can do it, maybe we can try something. Maybe. But yeah, I can definitely see a plateau coming in there a little bit. I mean, all manufacturing kind of goes through that. You have moments of development, and then everything kind of catches up together, and then somebody sparks it again. It's coming. All right, let's see. I guess multi-driver headphones should be arranged in a coax manner. In-ears can usually pick up when noise comes from different areas. Yeah. Like, for example, ultrasound kind of does the weird thing with angles and positionings of things, covering up part of the plating behind the area in front of the drivers, things like that, to get our ears to hear it different. I could see a headphone maybe having a similar setup to like what ultrasound has as far as the plating goes, but put different drivers in instead of just using the same driver. With maybe try that. Might be interesting. You'd have to have quite the crossover though. I think probably the headphone ones would probably have to be a little bit more beefy of a crossover than what you would use in IEMs. But again, I'm not really the guy to speak to that with, but one can dream. All right, let's see. Do you recommend a topping D10S? I have not heard the D10S. I did have a topping D30 way back in the day, 3 or 4 years ago. It was an okay DAC that I remember. Of course, it was paired with Mileprice M1060 Advanced Alpha, Aerodynamic Custom Studio. What else I have back then? I had a music hall DAC, Audio GD. It was another headphone. I'll have to look at my reviews. I don't remember. That Aerodynamic Custom Studio, if you can find one, those are interesting. They're like DT 770. Is it 770? 880? It's one of those is based off of, but it has these variable tuning ports for the bass. It's kind of cool. I don't know if they make the Custom Studio anymore. Probably not. You could also get it with custom cups, so you could take out the faceplates and put your own designs in, or you could use these weird designs that they had on their website, kind of make it your own thing. They also had a gaming version of it. It was kind of cool. Okay, so what is your favorite IEM for listening to and your favorite track? My favorite track is... Well, I'll tell you which one is my go-to. There we go. So if you go to my my website, I have a write-up that's called "Does Music Preference Impact Sound Impressions?" And then I talk about all the different songs that I use when I'm reviewing. So every single headphone, every single IEM, every single DAC, every single amp that gets reviewed on the channel, the final playlist that I listen to music on before I do the review is what is listed in this document. And the last song, which is Houston Person's "You Are My Sunshine," is the track that I use to test tone and timbre. And in my opinion, when you're listening to that, if the bass cello sounds like a guitar, that headphone does not do tone and timbre correctly. And for example, I will mention the Ola video that I did today, that released today. The Tantrum Ola, when I listened to that song, I could not tell that it was a cello. It sounded like a high. It sounded like guitar playing very high notes. It did not have the girth and the body and just the overall tone and timbre of a cello. So that's kind of my go-to song. So it's what headphone do I and earphone do I like to listen to that song on? I love to listen to that on the Ross and Red Zero and also on the Meze Imperium. There's just something about the way that those two present that instrument. It just sounds accurate and lifelike. Almost feels like I'm playing it. It feels that lifelike listening to that song with those two. And then as far as IEMs, the IEM that song really comes alive on is the Fearless Audio Roland. It just presents it because the Roland has a very natural and accurate tone and timbre. I understand that the Roland doesn't quite have the treble presentation that some people are looking for. It is a little bit on the laid back side. It is a little bit rolled off in the treble, so some people may not like that because they feel like they're not getting as airy of a presentation as they should. But as far as tone and timbre, I believe that the Roland really excels with that song. So that's Houston Person, You Are My Sunshine. And it just has realistic detail retrieval, resolution, and tone and timbre. So I do recommend that little list on my website for songs, and you'll understand kind of what I'm looking for and what I'm listening for when I am doing a review for music and on gear. I think it explains it quite good. You mentioned earlier that you're into gaming. What headphones are you currently to game with? Would you recommend a dedicated headset or go with one you already own? All right, so gaming. There is a caveat to that. Gaming wise, I am very much limited. So I am a somewhat of a sim racer, but I am no longer on PC. I am done with PC gaming. It got way too expensive. Too many other things get involved with PC gaming. So I am strictly PlayStation 4. Hopefully I'll get PS5 at some point. But I'm very much into sim racing and sports. So my go-to games are Assetto Corsa Compensione, F1, and some others, but we'll stick with Assetto Corsa and F1. And then I also play sports, but mostly the sports games that I play is FIFA 22. I'm a big soccer fan, and so I gotta play soccer, so I play FIFA. So anyways, what I use for gaming is pretty much any IEM. I actually really do like using IEMs when I'm gaming versus headphones. I don't mind headphones. I like the 660S with it, but you have to have an amplifier that's kind of decent with it. But as far as IEMs, I pretty much use everything. I love using Tin Hi-Fi T2s, all the way up to the CTM DaVinci 10s. The CTM DaVinci 10, which I haven't done a review on yet, but the CTM DaVinci 10s to me are like awesome for gaming. They have this insanely good soundstage imaging details. The way that they present everything is just accurate on the CTM. All right. Have you ever introduced your friends and family, non-audiophiles, to IEMs or good headphones, and what was the reaction? I'm lending out units to friends, and they're freaked out in a good way. Yeah, actually, I have. So I have several friends in which I've allowed them to use IEMs, and IEMs are a little iffy. Some people don't like sticking IEMs in their ears. Some people don't like using tips, so I'll always wash tips for them. Especially, I do not lend out with foam tips. I always use silicones. And their reaction is always like, wow, that's so much different than, my $5 earbud that I bought at Dollar Tree or, something like that. They're like so much detail. Usually it's the details that they notice first, how much more clear they sound. It's really cool. I enjoy seeing their reaction of, wow. And then, how much do these cost? And if it's one of the more expensive ones, usually all of a sudden that smile turns up. Oh, Or, whoa, I didn't know you could spend that much. You know, and you're only talking $100 IEM. They're like amazed. Yeah, I think it's really cool to see that. I enjoy seeing people's reactions to that, and then kind of explaining the differences of what they're hearing on, you know, their Crapple IEM or headphone versus what they're hearing on my gear. Any thoughts on the Chord Dave? Well, you know what? I think I have to review that just because of the name. I've never heard one. I would love to. Seems like a cool device. Pricey. But yeah, if I ever got the opportunity, I think it'd be cool. Let's see. HD 600 or HD 660S for the magical honey voices. For the vocal presentation, if you're looking strictly for vocals and the honey, I will go with HD 600. If you're looking for details, clarity, and a little bit more soundstage, a little bit more bass, and just overall presentation and actually more clarity, I would go with the 660S. But if you're strictly looking for the honey Sennheiser vocal, I would go with the 600 on tubes. All right. Well, we've been going for 2.5 hours, and I'm having all kinds of fun. So, if the questions keep coming, I'll stay on. So we'll just do it like that. So, I have all night long. So, well, we'll have to go to bed eventually. But if you guys want to continue on, I'm all for it. 2.5 hours, cool. Let's keep going. I'm okay with it. Let's see. When price isn't an object, DCS Bartok with a headphone. I've always wanted to hear the Bartok. I've heard so many good things about it. That'd be pretty cool. Probably would go up to like Abyss Diana Fee or 1266 TC, something like that. That'd be pretty cool. Susvara. Let's see. HD 600 at tubes is the real deal. Yeah, absolutely. There's the 600s are good on solid state. The 600s are good on like a little bit warmer of an solid state amplifier, but you put them on tubes, and they kind of change personality. It's kind of like the kid that is all kind of reserved, and then you take him out and you take him to like baseball game for the first time, and he gets jittery and excited, and you realize that this is something he enjoys and really wants to get into, and that's like the 600. So the 600 is good on everything, and you put it on tubes, and it like comes alive. It really does change its personality. It comes better, more enjoyable. Gideon, you're very welcome. I really enjoy my 660S. So if I'm doing like critical listening and overall presentation and just being a little bit more thorough on my listening, I'm going to go with 660S. If I'm just focusing on tone, timbre, and vocals, I'm going with 600. Excuse me, 600. 650 is better on the solid state and 600 on tubes. Okay, I did review the 650. Don't 100% remember, but I'm pretty sure that's probably about the conclusion I came up with also. I think I like the 650 on tubes too, but not as much as the 600 if I remember. Okay, balanced. 650 on tubes is my headphone setup in balanced operation. Which tube amp are you using that's balanced? I'm just curious with the 650. Sold my 660, kept the 600, 650. Okay. I get it. I really don't understand that. I love my 660, so. It's a must that I get to Dave. Absolutely. I mean, come on. There's certain things that people are just destined to review, and if it's in your name, you should get one to review. That's the way I look at it. So, I think I'm going to change my name to Bartok, Dave Bartok. That way I will get to Chord Dave and a DCS Bartok. I don't know if it works that way, but why not? I mean, come on. A cheap XDO 604. Interesting. Okay, well, I didn't hear the 604. I heard the others. So yeah. Now, does the 604, can you hear differences in tubes? Because the other one, X Duos, the 602 and the little 603 DAC, didn't really impact things too much when it came to changing tubes. Does the 604, do you notice more of a difference? Because those are different tubes than the 602 has, I believe. All right, so Honest Audiophile, I would recommend 1,000 Years by the Piano Guys. Love that song. I love the Piano Guys. They're awesome. A very lovely classical rendition, and a cover of 1,000 Years by Christine Paris is another great song in its own right. Totally agree. Christina Paris, forgive me. Yes, absolutely. Piano Guys are amazing. Christina Paris is very good. I really do enjoy Piano Guys. Listen to all the time. Another group that's kind of similar to that is the Blue Man Group. I so want to see Blue Man Group in person. They actually were last night in Wabash, which is like 30 minutes away from me. But the thing was sold out by the time I found that they were there, and I couldn't get tickets. I want to see the Blue Man Group so bad in concert. I know I can go up to Chicago and see them, but I don't really have time to travel to Chicago too much. Blue Man Group's awesome. Piano Guys are awesome also. Love both of those groups. And Christina Paris is good. How about Melee versus T3 Plus? If you watch my Melee or T3 Plus review, I believe there's comparisons in it. Explain a lot better than my old band Memory can. Let's see, I've kept my 604 stock, and it's very nice. Okay. Interesting. I might have to get a 604 in to try. That's one that I haven't. Waiting on S12 IEMs to arrive. Very nice. Look forward to hearing your thoughts on those. To get back to the T3 Plus and Melee, I do recommend that you watch the videos. I do make a comparison in it. Melee is a little more laid back. Has a little bit more bass, if I remember correctly. T3 Plus is a little bit better in vocals, detail, retrieval, and resolution, if I remember correctly. Videos will correct me if I'm wrong. All right, let's see. You know a Blue Man. Really? That's cool. Awesome. Do you have a playlist of the songs you use for reviews? Yes, I actually just mentioned it. If you go to my website, which is thehonestaudiophile.com, there is a write-up that is listed and it's entitled, Does Music Preference Impact Sound Impressions? What is Honest Audiophile reference music? And those songs that are listed in that, those 21 songs, are the final say in a review. So those are the last songs that I listen to before I do a review. Have a good night to you in chat. Cheer to all. Have a good night, Carmine. Thank you for swinging by. And so anyways, getting back to the website, Does Music Preference Impact Sound? There's 21 songs listed. I explain exactly what I'm looking for in each one of those songs. I also include a link via SongWhip, so you can go and listen to the song yourself. Highly recommend that you listen, that you read that, and it explains what I'm looking for, what I use, and all that kind of stuff. Let's see what else we got. Master. You know a Blue Man. It's one of them. One of the three. They seem like they'd be really fun. There's a lot of different things. Like if you go on YouTube, you can see like how they have different artists come in and inspire them for their songs and stuff. It's really cool how they come up with their renditions and stuff. Pretty cool to watch. Blue Man, they've ever since they were on like America's Got Talent, like I don't know, years ago, I've always been intrigued by them. Yeah, there are a bunch of them. Don't they have like 5 or 6 different traveling groups of them? Kind of like Mannheim Steamroller. I went and saw Mannheim Steamroller in concert, and I thought I was going to get to see meet Chip Davis. And yeah, Chip Davis wasn't even there. They put him on this little TV this little monitor, and he did this little video thing. I'm like, what a ripoff. They had all these other, or I mean, it was still good. It was still Man Steamroller. It still sounded like Man Steamroller, but it wasn't the official, Chip Davis. Yeah, not just three. I meant they like three do a performance, but isn't there like 5 or 6 different groups of them that travel? Your friend is in Chicago. Cool. So is he one of the originals? There you go. Yep, some stay in certain places like Vegas. Yeah, I thought they did like live performances on a daily basis, more than just Chicago. Or is Chicago the only place where they do the daily show? I don't know if you know the answer to that one. I watched are the Hi-Fi Man Edition XS on the horizon to be reviewed. If one gets sent in to me, I haven't been able to get a hold of one yet. Common theme lately. Vegas is a place I need to visit. I've never gone that far west. Not a gambling man, but it just seems like a cool place to go and see all the sights and stuff. It'd be fun. Catch a show or two. Okay, what is the worst audio gear that you have evaluated to date and why? All right. Let's start with, we'll do headphones first. So headphone wise, the worst ones would be the Bass Audio G12 and the Philips X2HR. Now, I know the X2HR, a lot of people like them. I get it. Also, the Triple and H1. So, the X2HR, I think a lot of the issues that I had with the X2HR is fit-based, but also the trebles was really painful for me. The Bass Audio G12 is just a horrid headphone. It just doesn't sound good whatsoever. Super uncomfortable, and the Triple and H1. Just watched a review. That thing, it's terrible built, and it just has like the most horrid tone and sound whatsoever, harsher than all get out, no bass. It's a terrible headphone. Like, I like some triple in gear, but the H1, try again. All right, let's see. Let's go IEMs. IEMs are a little bit more. Okay, so you've got the KZ ASX. Those were the most uncomfortable and horrid sounding IEMs I've ever heard. And I could get a seal with them. I could get a fit with them. They were uncomfortable. Could barely have them in my ears for like 10 minutes without them just destroying my ears pain-wise. And then sound-wise, they were harsher than harsh. I'm pretty sure that listening to cats howling and meowing in pain would be more enjoyable than the ASX. Yeah. And then next in line would be the Geekwall GK10s, which were all about the bass. It was like having a subwoofer in your ear and nothing else. And then also you have the TRN BA5s, which they have no idea what tone and timbre is or what detail is. Let's go with DACs and amps. DACs and amps, the worst ones that I've heard DAC-wise would be the SMSL M100 and the Topping E30. Just, not good. Too clinical, way too much detail and nothing else. Just all about the measurements and have no nothing with note or naturalism to it. Amplifiers straight up. The topping A90 lacked life and was as boring as all get out. Just had no life to it. Didn't matter what DAC you put in it. It's like eating food without salt. It just lacked savor. DAPs. The worst DAP that I've ever heard. It would probably have to be the it would probably be a little Cayenne. I don't remember the model number. It's really old, like the N6 or something. Wasn't bad sounding, just super clunky, bad UI. Was kind of warm, kind of like details. USB dongles. Worst one would be the X Duo MU603 because it just didn't really do anything. Tubes didn't matter to it, and it just kind of just, why do you exist? You don't get any alterations from the tubes, and the DAC just wasn't that good, so it just was kind of like, yeah. And let's see what else we got here. Speakers, can't say because I don't have enough experience. There you go. Hopefully that answers it. Bad gear. What's the worst gear I've heard? Let's see. Some stay in certain places. Hi-Fi Man, not sure about that. What is the worst audio? Do you like the Blonde BL03? I think it's too bright. Blonde BL03 is a good starter point. I would go with the triple one Leah. Now at this point, especially if treble bothers you a little bit with the blonde. But you could also go with various other things. There's several other things in that price point. The Leah may also have too much brightness for you, but it does resolve a little bit better than the blonde BL03, so maybe it won't come across as harsh for you. Let's see what else we got. You're very welcome there. Any other questions, comments, concerns, recommendations, requirements? Oh, wait. This is fun. I haven't hung out with you guys in a while. Need to do it more often. 2 hours and 43 minutes. Pretty lengthy live stream going on here today. Randy McGee, you're very welcome. I appreciate you for being part of this community that we have with the Honest Audiophile channel. Have a good night there, Hussy. I do really appreciate all that you guys do for the you all do for the channel, all the support that you give, the questions, comments, the laughs. It's a nice connection to have, and it's like in a big group of friends that I didn't know I had until I started a YouTube channel. You all just kind of taken me in, and I've, we can all just sit and chat, laugh, discuss, and I'd be curious if the chat would be willing to share what is the worst gear that they've ever heard or used. Gideon, you're very welcome. So if you could put in the chat comments, what is the worst gear that you've ever used or experienced or heard, audio wise? Headphone, IEM, DAC, amp, tube, cables, anything else. All topping gear. There you go. That's a good start. Anybody else? Raycon earbuds. You know what? I have some friends that just love those things to death. And I've like, let me listen to them. And they're like, yeah, they're not really your channel's quality. And I'm like, can I at least hear them? So hopefully I don't get a pair for Christmas. All right, let's see here. MT602. Yeah, absolutely, Chris. You want it back? Let's see. Enjoyed the conversations. Until next time. You're welcome, Paul. You have a great night. Yeah, the MT602. That thing's special. Raycons. They supposedly are supposed to be really good and super comfy. Or so my friend says. I'm like, well, let me hear them. They never bring them. Hopefully they don't get me a pair for Christmas, and thankfully they don't watch the live stream, so at least they know it's not channel worthy. Oh, come on, you don't want it back? I don't really blame you, truthfully. Come on, there's got to be more gear that you all have heard that's been so bad. Come on. I want a good laugh. Come on. Give me some good stuff here. I know a couple of you have mentioned some stuff to me in private. Maybe you could share it with the community. I went through my whole list. Come on. I think that it is interesting that we all have different experiences. And, you know, and like one man's treasure is another man's pile of flaming garbage. And you didn't like a bunch of KZ IEMs. Truthfully, honestly, I didn't really either. If you look at my tier list and you sort it by KZ, most of them didn't get a very friendly grade. I mean, I'm just being honest. They're not my fave. I'm not trying to be cruel here, just being honest. Worst audio gear, tough question. After I got started into this hobby, probably the recent DQ5. Never heard that one. Doesn't sound like I want to. The DQ6 6S wasn't bad if you tweaked it. Don't be afraid to say something that I've reviewed and liked that you don't. That's fine. Let's see. Worst headphone is Skull Candy Hesh Evo. It sounds all over the place. Well, that's not cool. I don't know if I've ever heard the Hesh Evo. Oops, sorry. I've heard some Skull Candies, but I don't recall the model of them. All I know is bass. Let's see. Best headphone amp in the $500 class. I've heard Lake People G11. Touch of warmth, fun, sweet, and a lot of power. I've heard, what was that one I reviewed? I don't think it was a Lake People. It was something similar, though. Hang on, I gotta look it up. What was it? JDS Labs, Sabash, SBL, Tor, X-Duo, Fio, Drop. I know I reviewed it one. Is it under this? Let's see. I don't think it was a Lake People, though. Korg, Matrix. So Chris. Apparently, I didn't put it on my list. Now I'm gonna have to look it up. But I did hear something associated with that. Somebody sent it. Oh, Bioelectric. I don't remember the model. Why is it not on my list? But that was a really good amplifier, similar to the G111, I believe. I'll have to look that up, find out why it's not on my list. Shame on me. All right, let's see what else we got. My girlfriend likes her ZS10s, and her HyperCloud's gaming headset is awful. Every HyperCloud that I've ever heard has been atrocious. I don't know what the love of them are. Extremely like all bass, all treble, and then the soundstage is like funky. I have not been impressed by them. Let's see. I started with Audio Technica M50s, but have learned a lot since then and haven't gone back to it in ages. M50 is a good starting point. If that's the worst one you've heard, you've had a pretty decent journey. Let's see here. Sony MDR 7506s. I don't hate them, but I definitely don't love them as much as other people. Can't really complain about the $99 price tag. Yeah, Sony's, you have to change the pads. If you don't change the pads, the mids don't come in as well. And you don't quite get the note weight. I found that if you put Yaxi pads on, that helps a lot with the MDR 7506. Actually, I had the other model. Sorry. I had what was the Sony model I had? Was it the 7506? Man, I can't remember anything tonight. I had the CD900, sorry, STs. Similar 7506. But yeah, changing pads to the Yaxi pads might help that a little bit. I'd be curious if you ever wanted to try it. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. Lake People. Did I miss one? Skull Candy. Worst audio gear. Tough question. Seriously? Come on. I tried the red and blue Yaxis. Okay. Did that help? Changing the pads to the Yaxis? Maybe the 7506s don't react as well to them. Be curious about that. Long time ago, there was a Sennheiser HD700 that was all treble. It was weird sounding and looked futuristic, but that was years ago. Yeah. HD700s are an interesting sound. Do definitely have a lot of treble. Definitely are aggressive in their presentation. Yeah. Totally understand that. Yeah, tried to res. It made it seem like it was too distant and lessened the bass. Interesting. Okay, so they do not react like the CD900s do to them. Helped in some respects, but it pretty much eliminated the bass. Yeah, that's not good because the 7506s don't exactly have a ton of bass to begin with, from what I'm told. All right, let's see. Yeah, Sennheiser HD700s. You know, the 660S has the 700 driver. Totally different sounding headphone. Let's see. 560S after 200 hours. The edge and the treble is completely gone. Lacks color, but for the price, the headphones are steel. 200 hours, that's a long time to listen. Did you do that consecutively? I'm just kidding. I'm glad you like your 560S. They're okay. I was not a big fan of them, though. The M20X over the M50. I had never heard the M20s. Less bass, better treble, and better resolution. More mids. What's the difference between the two? I'm curious. I do like the M50 better than the M40. I've never heard the M20s. I should pick one up. They're fairly cheap. That would be an interesting one to grab for me and do compare. I should look into those. Alrighty. Let's see. Did I miss anything? If I didn't answer your question, re-ask it. But I think that with it going on 11 p.m. and questions seem to be slowing down here, maybe we'll wrap this up in a little bit. I don't want to rush people off. So if you still have questions and stuff, I'm willing to stick around, but going on 3 hours. Let's see. For me, it's less bass and better balanced. Okay. Well, that's good because the M50s are a little elevated in the bass. And a little bit too, they can get a little bloaty. So that, and balancing them out a little bit would be nice. Yeah, I'll have to look those up. What do you feel about Koss stuff, especially the popular trio like the Porta Pro, K75s, and KPHs? All right, well, mentioned this earlier. Koss is a brand that everybody should experience. I love Koss. They are willing to stick their necks out and try different technologies and different designs. KSC 75s that I have right here. Use them all the time. Love them. Porta Pros are great as well. 95Xs are very good. KPH 30Is are very good. I really do like Koss. I have a lot of respect for them. And I think that they are the brand that everybody should try. And if you want a quick introduction into what hi-fi can give you, try them. They're just crazy, and not all Kosses are good. Not all of them are gems, but I do like what Koss has done for the audiophile community as a whole. They're very just, we're gonna try it, see if it sticks type of mentality. What headphones or IEMs and DAC amp combos is everyone using right now? All right, let's put that message out into the chat. I will mention mine while you all start to top. So mine sticks the same. So my MyTech Liberty DAC is my main desktop DAC amp. Then I have 2 amplifiers going into it. I have balanced going into the GSX Mini, single-ended going into the 1 linear THX 1 linear from Drop. I also have an Odyssey Deckard that also goes into a splitter, so I can listen to that. Use monoprice MM5Rs as speakers. Headphone-wise, my main headphone is the Rossum Red Zero, and IEMs Roland, Fearless Roland, and the CTM DaVinci 10s. There we go. There's my setups. Okay, let's see what everybody else puts out there. Have you tried any of their new utility series stuff? I also completely agree with you. Koss is a budget done well. Haven't had any opportunity to get any Koss gear in. Their utility stuff looks interesting. I'd be curious to see how well it's implemented. It does look pretty cool. I like the KPH 30Is, but the Porta Pros I didn't like. But $25 are all fine. I guess super cheap and decent. Yeah, Porta Pros are a little bit different sound. KPH 30Is are a little bit more open. So I can understand that. Also, Porta Pros, if you have hair like I do, it can kind of rip them out and make you go bald with that weird headband thing going on. Very curious, how many hours a week do you spend listening to either headphones or IEMs? I average about 4 hours a day listening to headphones and IEMs. And then on weekends, it'll be upwards to about 6 to 8 hours. Some days are different. Some days I get more, some days I get less. Kind of depends on the job, kind of depends on life in general. But normally it's somewhere in that 4 hours Monday through Friday, and then 6 to 8 hours on weekends each day. What is your thing with HE660s? So many people get rid of it, and you love them. What is the selling point, in your opinion, making the headphones so special? To me, it's a very balanced, and it's a very natural and accurate soundstage, and it does excellent imaging and detail retrieval and resolution for the price point. To me, it sounds the most natural and accurate of the 500, 600, 700 series. Let's see, 7 hertz timeless into a BTR 5, even though I just ran it through my phone with Dolby Atmos on. Sounds amazing. Nothing too fancy. Yeah, you know what? That probably actually wouldn't be a bad sound. The BTR 5 with its a little bit tamed top end might quell the tendency of the timeless to get a little too excited at times. That's probably actually a really good sound. Very portable too. Gets rid of that kind of finicky cable that the timeless has also. Let's see, HD 600 Bifrost 2 balanced to the Jotunheim 2 Bifrost RCA to the IE Magni for IEMs using the Moondrop Arias right now. It's a nice setup. Didn't get to hear the IE Magni, but that is getting really good reviews. People seem to like it a lot. I kind of want to get one in for review. I really like the Heresy. Supposedly it's supposed to sound pretty similar. I don't know if you've ever heard the Heresy. Let's see, DAC amp Aune X1S, and the headphones are HD58X. IEMs are the timeless, and with the Bluetooth, and then the THX Drop Pandas and the FIO UTWSs. Now the Panda I never heard, but they people seem to really like them, and apparently they're one of the best sounding Bluetooth THXs. Be curious to hear that. I have, let's see, super expensive gear, but usually I listen to Olina's and the tiny Cayenne N3 Pro. That's a little bitty DAP, right? The little small thing. That's kind of cool. I find it funny that sometimes price isn't really a factor. Very, very true. I think that a lot of times people think, well, it's expensive, so it's got to sound good, or it's got to sound so much significantly different than something cheaper. And that's really not the case. You can get some really, really good sound out of some more budget-friendly stuff. And you can get some really bad sound out of some high-end stuff. They discontinued the IE Magni. Really? It was only out a couple months. Supply chain problem, maybe? Interesting. That's a bummer. Do they still have the Heresy? Because the Heresy was pretty good. Wow. Already got rid of it. The Cayenne N3 Pro is the tiny... Oh, it's the tube one. Okay. That thing's kind of cool looking, too. That actually probably sounds really good. Probably helps the Aria with the aggressiveness a little bit. You had the Aria, right? Oh, you had the Olina, sorry. I haven't heard the Olina. I thought you had the Aria. Let's see. Your setup is the SMSL SP100 to SMSL B1 with the Edifier R980Ts, the ISK BM600 microphone, Audio Technica ATH20X, the BASN Bissinger BC100. What is that? Is that an IEM? And the Swamp Industries SM11 3-channel mixer. I've never heard of Swamp Industries mixer. I've heard about them, but I've never used one or heard one. What is my personal favorite headphone? That would be the Rawson Red Zero. Heresy is still there. They said there wasn't much demand for the IE Magni. Discontinue it for now. Interesting. Oh, so the ASN is an IEM. That's not a brand I'm familiar with. I'll have to look them up. Are they any good? I'm just curious. Are they worth worth exploring? IE Magni discontinued because there wasn't much demand. That's interesting. Maybe a little too much competition. Everybody else was like getting Zendex and Zencans. Interesting. Yes. Okay. I'll have to look those up. Are they like available through like Amazon or AliExpress? Do they still make the Rad Zero, or that is a vintage headphone? Never heard of it. Yes, they still do make it. You've never heard of the Rad Zero? Wow. Hang on. Hold on. All right, you never heard of the Rad Zero. So it is the Rawson, made by Alex Rawson, who was part of the founders of Audeze. And this is the Rad Zero. He now has his own company. And, yeah. Beautiful. And since you can kind of see the GSX Mini, see if we can get it on camera here so you all can see. That is how they match. That just looks perfect together. So anyways, Rawson Rad Zero. Yeah, they are still being made, being produced. Such a pretty headphone. Yeah, they are very pretty, very gorgeous design. Really do like them a whole lot. It's ROSSON, Rawson Rad, RAD-0, Rad Zero. How do they sound? They are very neutral and natural sound. Very accurate tone and timbre, and to me they're the most realistic planar that I've heard. What is the weight? I believe they're 612 grams. They're pretty hefty. Very reminiscent of Audeze type weight. I have a very detailed review on the channel, on the YouTube channel, and then on my website, honestaudiophile.com. There's a written review and also comparisons to the Empyrean and the Ether C from Mr. Speakers. And that'll give you a whole lot more information. Yeah, the Rad Zero, to me, even though it's heavy, it comes in at 600 pounds, or pounds. Feels like 600 pounds. No, 600 grams, give or take. It disperses it really well. So, like some headphones, when they're heavy, you can really feel it on the top of your head or on your ears. And the way that that pad just disperses, for me, it's very even. You don't have a whole lot of angle with them popping out to the sides and stuff. To me, it's just like perfect fit. extremely comfortable ear pads, and it just really helps. But yes, very, very pretty. These are the ones that Alex Rawson, when I had ordered a different pair, he sent me a message and was like, "Hey, I have a special design just for you picked out, and I want it to be a surprise." And so he sent he picked this design for me, and they came at the same time as my GSX Mini, which, I mean, you would think that I picked it for that, but no, I did not. But anyways, the BASN Bissinger BC100 is available on Amazon for $32.99. The pads on the Rawson are stock. Yeah, I can't wear my LCDRs for very long. Weight is an issue after an hour. I need to weigh them. Yeah, those are really heavy. I don't know if they're as heavy as the Rawson. They're probably rival in it. They're probably somewhere in that range. My LCD2 closed are actually more fatiguing weight-wise than my Rawson is. So, like, you take the LCD2C, and they are probably not quite as heavy as the Rawson. But to me, because of the way that it like disperses and it's more leaned out, they feel heavier. And I get more neck fatigue wearing the closed than I do the Rawson. And it's just because of that headband. And these are comfortable. I don't have a problem with it, so to speak, but I can't wear them as long as I can the Rawson. Very, very strange. It's funny how different headphones feel different. Price of the Red Zeros are $2,600 new. You can get B stock. Sometimes he has B stock. And I think those are a couple $100 cheaper. You might be able to find them used. You can pre-select some of the designs and colors, various ones. There's all kinds on his website. Or you can send in your design. I'm not sure if that costs more or not. Yeah, they kind of press a little bit more. The LCDs do. They, if you also, you're welcome. The Rawson you can get tuned a little differently. So like if you don't want it to be completely neutral and natural, you can ask for more bassy, or you can ask for a little more treble and mids. And from what I understand, Alex can tune it to be kind of more towards what you're looking for. Okay, so it has the same headband. Yeah, it's a nice headband, very comfortable. I like the feel of the leather and stuff. And to me, it's just doesn't quite have the padding like the Rawson does. But for a big headphone, nothing compares to the Ether Cs. There's something about this design that Dan Clark came up with where these things, they just plop on your ears, snug up, and just disappear. They are so comfy for a bigger headphone. And they're so light. These things are like 300 grams compared to all the others. Yeah. Yeah, Ether Cs, those things are super, super comfy. But also the Meze Lyric. This is another headphone that's very uniquely designed. And these are really comfortable as well. And this headband is like crazy good. And these disappear. And they rival in comfort the Ether C. These might actually, the Lyric might actually fit a little bit better around the ears. The the Ether Cs are like stretched to their limit for me as far as going around the ears, whereas the lyric kind of fits me a little bit better, and I still have room to kind of expand on my melon. Yeah, Audizays tend to be like bricks on your ears. They can be. The What is the tone of the Meze lyric? It's similar to an Empyrean, just a little bit more compressed. Doesn't quite have as much of an expansive soundstage, but it's kind of a similar type of naturally warmish type of tone. Really good for a closeback, actually. I'm kind of surprised that they pull it off. You don't get a lot of like bass flex and reverb, and I think it has to do with the vent that is on the the cup. It does a really good job of releasing that, so it has a lot of authority and gets a nice airy approach to it without being like in your face like some closebacks can with bass. What's my thoughts on 2-pin or MMCX? I prefer 2-pin. MMCX is annoying to put on and off sometimes, can have some fit problems. As far as sound, there's no difference. Sonics, in my opinion. I also find that 2-pins can be a little bit more comfortable because you can get them smaller, and depending on the connector portion, the way it fits in, whether it's recessed or not. I prefer 2-pin, but MMCX I can deal with. I don't always like it. If I was designing one, I definitely would go 2-pin. Have you ever tried creating your own modded headphone? Well, I haven't like done anything extensive. So I had the monoprice retros, and I took the connected cable, turned it into a connected cable, kind of like a super lux thing where you had half the cable hanging down and you put a male and female together. I rewired that, and then I took some foam padding type stuff that I had, some felt and things like that, and I kind of shoved it in there in cotton and kind of tried to tune it so I didn't, I guess you can call modded a headphone. Wasn't very successful. A friend of mine kind of was like, yeah, I don't know what you were thinking. Trying to do that. And then I've changed some cables and pads and things like that normally, so no, I really haven't modded anything. The Fostix T50. I bought the Mayflower mod where he actually sends you the kit. So you get all the felt you're supposed to use, all the amount of cotton that you're supposed to use, and all the other different materials. And he has directions for it. And you open up the cups and you disassemble the drivers and you put all of it in according to his directions. So I did do that. I did my own Mayflower mod. Do you want a bad Verum one with a channel imbalance? They need a good home or the trash? Send me an email and let me know how badly they're imbalanced and all that kind of stuff. Email's in the description, so send me an email about that, all that, and we can discuss it. Any other questions, comments, concerns, laughs, giggles, suggestions? I'm just having fun hanging out. So hit me up. Ask me anything. You may or may not get an answer that you thought you were getting. I ended up getting a T60 RP Argon, but I had him modify it since I'm still not at that level yet. Yeah. That would be the way I would do it also, is I would just have Modhouse do it for you, have Ryan do it for you. Hi there from Atlanta. Thoughts on new edition XS? I want to hear one. I haven't heard it yet. Thanks for hanging out with us all tonight. Heading out. All the best, Dave. Same to you, Randy. Thank you for coming by and chatting up, asking questions and all that fun stuff. Yeah, if I was going to get a T60, definitely. I know I haven't heard a stock T60, but if I was going to get an Argon T60, I would definitely have Ryan do the work. I don't trust my modding abilities, even though I did do the Mayflower. And honestly, I didn't really care for the Mayflower. So, all right, let's see. Have I tried anything off of AliExpress? I have ordered two things off of AliExpress way back yonder. I ordered some cables for like IEMs, and they arrived. Very sketchy packaging, but yes, did get that. And then I ordered. There was an IEM that I got off of Ali because the price was like cheaper. Other than that, I don't really order off of Ali. Normally, I'm going through Linsol, Hi-Fi Go, Keep Hi-Fi, or Amazon. I get a ton of emails from AliExpress though. Do expensive custom cables actually make a difference? I did a write-up on that actually on my website, where I used a Meze Empyrean and I use Arctic cables. And I talk about the differences. Depending on gear, yes and no. You can hear some differences, but overall, is it really worth the price tag? It's up to the listener whether or not they actually hear the differences. Um, that's a tough one. There's a lot out there that don't make a whole lot of difference, and there are some that do. Most of the differences that I hear in cables are differences between like silver and copper. Some differences, like when you get into different gauges and things like that, maybe you can get a little bit more clarity. Um, you might get a little bit better detail, things like that. But overall, I more than often will say no, they don't really make much of a difference. I mostly get cables for aesthetics, comfort, feel, fit, that type of thing. Have you heard the chord Dave? Did you think about it just because of the name, even if for a moment? Oh, yeah. I have never heard the chord Dave. As mentioned earlier in the chat, I think that every reviewer, if there is a product that has your name in it, you should be sent one to review. So I should be sent a chord Dave to review just because it's my name. I mean, come on. I'm actually really thinking about changing my name to Dave Bartok. That way I can get a DCS Bartok and a chord Dave. But I don't think manufacturers and vendors see it that way. But that'd be awesome if they did. I do want to hear a chord Dave, though. I think it'd be pretty cool. Plus, the thing's awesome looking. I mean, there's nothing really out there that looks like that, and it's just so cool looking. It's very clear. That's awesome. I know I ordered a open heart headphone that resembles a grotto off of Valley. It is built astonishingly well. The sound isn't too bad either. A little treble heavy, but not that bad. I've seen some of those like clone one stuff on Alley. I'm always a little skeptical, but it, it's always been enough to be like, wonder wonder how bad they really are. Is usually the way I'm thinking it, but it's good to know that they actually are halfway decent. Um, Obviously, it probably wouldn't replace a Susvara in a collection, but it's good to know that it wasn't like pure trouble murder or or something like that. Might be an interesting one to do like the AliExpress thing. And they have like OEM drivers and like, you know, OEM type of headbands and things like that and cobble something together. If you are into modding, that might be an interesting venture to try to explore. See if you can come up with something good. Interesting. So the backs just open up without any tools. So it just like pops off, or does it have like a little notch that you push in and it pops off, or is there little screws? Well, you said no tools, so headband's comfy too. Interesting. There, I've seen some where like you have um, like a I don't know what type of driver it is, but they look similar to like as you said grotto, but they're open back. They have the fake wood, and then they have detached cables. You have to put your own cable into it. That might be interesting to try to cobble something together and see what you can come up with. See if you can get rid of that treble problem that you have. Oh, so you like spin the back plate off. Interesting. That would be it'd be an interesting if I was into like modding or building. It might be one of those little fun weekend type of projects to do. Cool. Well, it is going on 11:30 on the East Coast. Been going for 3 hours and 26 minutes. This is craziness. I've never had a live stream this long. Tell you what, we'll go to midnight. Once midnight strikes here on the East Coast, I'm going to call it quits. So we got 35 minutes to go. So, all right, let's see. Could you power the lyric off of a DAP, or does it lack punch? I have tried it off of the WM1A. It, 4.4 balanced is preferred. And even then, it was kind of like, it can do better. It's capable and it is touted to run off of that, but it would, you know, depending on the depth that you have on how much power, yeah, it could do it. But I like it better off desktop. Let me see if I can find them. Okay. And then, all right, thank you for the talk here. Welcome, Matt. And yeah, so like, I really like the lyric. It really surprised me. I like the lyric off of the IFI Zencan Signature MZ99 version, without doing any of the enhancements with all the boosts that they do. I think I put it on gain 2 setting, and that's or whatever that little setting is. I haven't really explored it yet. Just got it like a couple days ago, and it sounds fantastic. The lyric does. I also like it off of the GSX Mini, and it doesn't need high gain. It runs off of low gain just fine off of that. One linear, you have to use it on middle gain on the one linear, and it sounds fantastic. I really like the lyric a lot. It's really pleased me quite a bit for a closeback. For a first time closeback planar, they've done an exceptional job. And yeah, it is better than 99 Classic for Meze. Is it as good as the LCD2 closed in the Ether C? Those offer different capabilities. Those are more reference sounding than the lyric. The lyric is more of a just overall fun, pleasing type of sound signature. Taylor Hawkins from the Foo Fighters just died. Wow. Well, that's a bummer. That's sad. That's not cool. Foo Fighters is a good band. That's a bummer. Huh. That's a bummer. The Foo Fighters was one of those bands that I was never like a huge fan of, like followed them, consistently, but yet I never disliked them. It always seemed like I liked all their songs. I just wasn't like the biggest and biggest follower, but yet I never turned them off when they were on. I like Foo Fighters. That's a bummer. So getting back to the lyric, lyric and LCD2 closed and Ether C's. Ether C and LCD2 closed just offer more of a reference sound, whereas the lyric is more of a fun and just engaging, chill, relaxed type of sound, but still gives you all the details and gives you all the information. Just different purposes overall. Okay, so the link is too big to post in the chat. If only photos could be attached. Interesting. You could always send me an email if you wanted. You could send an email with that information. So that's link is in the description if you wanted to send that link and photos or whatever. Any other questions, comments, concerns, music recommendations, anything like that? You're gonna make me get out my red zero again. There you go. I do really like these. I like the look of them. They're just so cool. They be pretty. I never thought that I would like a one of those big, huge seahorse cases. But when I got my Red Zero, all of a sudden I was like, I'm glad I got that case. I'm glad that they include that because these headphones are just too special to keep out and not protect. 3 headphones for the aisle. Which ones would you choose? I would choose my Rossman Red Zero, the Meze Empyrean, and now this is from things I've heard or own. And then the other one would be the Focal Utopia. Don't own it yet. Those would be my 3 choices for the aisle this week. IEMs for the aisle. CTM DaVinci 10, Fearless Roland, and I would take the Katori Dauntless. Yeah. Amps. You only need 1 amplifier, so I'll stick with what I got. I'll take the Headamp GSX Mini and DAX. Take a Matrix Element X. All right, so let's see here. I know my most expensive headphones I currently own are the GL2000s. Okay, I haven't heard them. Always heard good things. I adore them with my Zencan. I know they are controversial, but I love that soundstage and imaging. Hey, there's nothing wrong with controversial. As long as you enjoy them, that's what's important. And as long as they bring a smile to your face and you enjoy the music that you're hearing, that's what's most important. I recommend the band The Dreadful Yawns. They won't make me yawn, will they? Sorry. This is one of those band names. I love. There's some interesting band names. There was a meme going around. How was it? It was something like, if you are a 1990s metal band and you're choosing names, so the color of underwear that you're wearing and the last food that you're eating is the name. And so, they come up with something like the fire engine waffles or something like that. It was pretty funny. There was some pretty funny names in the perfect bedtime band. Yeah. That was a pretty funny meme. That was on, I think I was on Twitter. There was some pretty funny band names that were coming out. There are some interesting band names that you're just like, was it just a bunch of guys, just sitting in somebody's living room, just, some random thought just comes into their head. Like, we should be called this because we're always hanging out on this couch in this purple room. So we're going to be the purple room couch lovers or something, Oh, their songs aren't boring. Well, that's good. I'll give them a listen. I'll check them out. I some band names you don't even remember them. Like you remember the song and you'll like hear the song and you go, oh yeah, I like this song, and then you look it up and you're like, wow, that's the name of that band. That's funny. Too funny. It's- I yeah, I would be, if I were to name a band, I would be so much just, yeah, I'm the Dave Sylvia band. It's like, wow. All right, let's see. I remember my uncle for Guitar Hero called his band Fecal Matters. Yeah, it always made me laugh because yeah, exactly. Guitar Hero, man, I was pretty good at that game back in the day. I was good as a drummer. Could do that pretty good. Oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't Guitar Hero. That was Garage Band or Guitar Band, where you had the whole band. That was kind of cool. Let's see. Thank you so much, Dave. Take care. See you soon. Yep. Have a good night, Gideon. Thanks for swinging by. Was it Guitar Band? I think it was Guitar Band. Guitar. There were two different types of games like that. You had Guitar Hero and Guitar. Yeah, I think it was Guitar Band. But the one with the drums, I did the drumming thing. Rock Band. There we go. That's it. Wow. Thanks. Yeah, I like that band. That game. That was fun. I mean, you had somebody sing vocals. You had a guitar player. You had to do the slide thing. Yeah. Man, you get up there in some of those levels, some of those songs were like intensely hard. Craziness. And then if you didn't have your sensor in the right spot, it wouldn't catch. Oh, yeah. I remember that. Fecal Matters. That actually sounds like a band. And Band Hero. Yeah. See, I knew that there was several of them. Fecal Matter. That actually sounds like it could be a band in real life. That's funny. That's funny. I don't remember what we called ours. Let's see, it was man drums, wife, and sister-in-law, and they would rotate playing guitar and vocals, depending on which one knew the song or not. Yeah, you're right. They never made an audiophile approved rock band. Didn't they have it? I think wasn't there one of them you could record yourself? Ooh, turn those recordings into masters. Yeah, no, that would be bad. It's like karaoke night. Some people think they can sing, some don't. And that'd be funny. Audiophile version. Yeah, turn them into FLAC files. No thanks. You don't want to hear our recordings. They were pretty bad. It was fun doing it, though. It was really fun. Fun doing it, for sure. What other games were there, music-wise? I'm trying to think. I didn't play a ton of them. I don't know, my brain's not thinking right now. Not working properly. The games that we used to play, we had a Wii, and we used to do the Wii Sports, and the Winter Olympics on the Wii on the original. That was so fun. You did the ski jump, and it was so hard. Like you had to like time it perfectly, and if you didn't have your little sensor bar in the right spots, like if you had one person that was really tall and one person that was short or whatever, it would just mess up every time. And one, oh, it was so finicky. And then the sports one where you did track, and you had to like paddle real hard to get your guy running. Oh, burn out your arms. Anyways, sports. Are you more of a headphone, IEM, or speaker guy? I kind of bounce in between headphones and IEMs. Probably 40-40-20. Speakers I do use quite a bit. Um, and I use speakers on a daily basis, but just not as much as headphones and IEMs. So it kind of just depends on what I'm reviewing, kind of dictates headphone and speaker. But if I'm on my own and don't have anything to review, I probably tend to lean towards headphone. Okay, you still have the Wii and love Wii Sports. I'm good at bowling. That's about the only Wii sport I'm good at anymore. Let's see. Qobuz or Tidal? Any thoughts? I use Tidal. To me, when I tried Qobuz, I just found that Tidal sounded a little bit more natural and accurate to me. Not that Qobuz sounds bad, but every now and then Qobuz has at least when I tested it, Qobuz had a little bit of a sheen, a little bit of a glare to it at times, and it sounded like it was a little artificial. And to me, Tidal just sounds more accurate and true. And I'm not even like I could care less about the MQA and the 360 sound and all that kind of stuff. All I'm talking about is just the pure files itself. That's to me, I just prefer Tidal that way. To each their own. If you like Qobuz, cool. If you like Tidal, cool. If you like Spotify, cool. As long as it sounds good to you and sounds accurate and true, and it's what you enjoy, that's all that matters. Amazon Music Unlimited. I actually like Amazon. I have both Amazon and Tidal, and I find that Amazon sounds like very, very close to Tidal. Um, and I like using Amazon because I can get some albums and tracks and stuff off of it that I can't get on Tidal and vice versa. I find that they complement each other very well. Plus, sonically, they're very close. Yeah, I understand that. It probably just depends on like what headphone we're using, or IEM or speaker. Again, it was just like random songs every now and then. With Kobas, it wasn't like every single song. Um, so I mean, I'd be happy with Kobas, but I just use Tidal, and I've been using Tidal for years, so I'm well into the ecosystem. Excuse me. Okay, now I know. Getting close to 4 hours, voice starts giving out. Let's see. Yeah, I have. I've been using Tidal for over 4 years, and I've been using Amazon HD ever since they started it because I'm an Amazon Prime member. Always will be. So, Amazon Music has always been there, and I've tested and tried Qobuz, Deezer, Spotify, YouTube Music, and several others. And to me, they're all really close. And each one kind of does things a little different. Kind of depends on library, and kind of depends on what sound preference you have. The only one that I wouldn't recommend, and I know that a lot of people like it, but I just didn't, was Deezer. To me, I didn't enjoy the sound of Deezer. To me, Deezer sounded very compressed and thick sounding, and lacked details. But I know a lot of other people hear it differently, and I respect that. But to me, that was the one that was a little lackluster. But to each their own. What do you think is the future for audio? Like, what do you think will be the next big innovation? Head tracking, DSP, maybe something else. I actually think that it's going to be multi-driver, multi type, different driver types in headphones. I think like they have doing with IEMs now, where you can get like a planar and a dynamic and an EST together, or a BA and EST and a dynamic, things like that. I think you're going to start seeing that in headphones, hopefully. Also, you might start seeing just multi dynamic drivers, that type of thing. Think that maybe you'll get to see some other aspects regarding like DACs and amps. I think you're going to start to see a little shift from like all measurements and graphs and being the uber clean. I think you'll start seeing a little shift to go a little bit more natural, add a little bit of body and a little bit of flavor to it. Maybe you'll start seeing some different topologies come through. I hope. I'll be curious. Yeah, these are just, it just sounds a little, I don't know, pinched, closed. Closed might be a good word. I know that the only multi-driver is the one more. It has one driver, tweeter, and a passive. Yeah. There's a headphone I think Alex Grell's involved with on Kickstarter. It's made by like Heavy. It's gonna be focused for like metal music. And it's supposed to have, I think it has 6 drivers on each, or 8 drivers total, something like that. And that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And I think you'll start seeing that a little bit more. I would really like to see some different technologies. So, like, start seeing like a planar and dynamic combined together. So you have like planars handling the mid range and treble, and then you have the dynamic doing the bass or something like that in a headphone. That'd be kind of cool to see. And then seeing some different mixtures, maybe in DACs or amps. I don't know how, I'm not a science guy, not an engineer. I don't know how easy that would be to mix things up, but it might be interesting to see. I think IEMs are kind of the trendsetter in that, and then I think headphones kind of need to take that next step up a little bit. I think that it would be interesting that to see the abilities that like an IEM manufacturer has come up with, like BA and EST crossovers, mixing it into a headphone. I don't know if that would be a possibility, but it'd be kind of neat. It's kind of funny and ironic that sort of stuff was mocked by audiophiles and gaming headphones. Now that they will probably be the future for audiophile grade stuff is true. Unfortunately, I think the reason why it's kind of mocked is because the gaming community never really developed it for anything outside of gaming specifically, and so it never translated to music. And so that, I think that's the issue. All right, so 4 hours of streaming has killed my battery. I'm down to 5%, so I do need to quit, or else my stream is going to die. So I do appreciate everything that you guys have all asked and have talked about and stuff like that. We'll have to do this again. 3 hours and 50 minutes, and my battery is officially saying you got to go. So before I get cut off completely, thanks for joining, and I appreciate everything. If I didn't get to your question, drop it down in the comments, and I will try to answer it then and there. You all have a great night, and thanks for joining. We'll do it again. Remember to enjoy the music, and honesty is the best policy.